Cell News Time, 8:59. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. Let's go back to Cameron Elliott.
We got a couple more emergency vehicles arriving now at this crash in the left shoulder at Point of the Mountain on northbound I-15. Now, the traffic right there is not all that bad. In fact, the worst of it's going to be as you come out of Lehigh. But it is still worth noting that you should get over and allow these emergency vehicles some space while they work on getting this crash cleaned up. Now, once you get past Point of the Mountain, it's not really going to pick up again until you get downtown. It's going to be especially heavy on northbound I-15 just ahead of the West Temple exit as you come into downtown. But between there, you're going to be in pretty good shape. On the 201, a little bit slow as you come between the Mountain View corridor and I-15. Jason?
And traffic is running pretty much regular speed southbound I-15 as you roll on down through Weber and Davis counties until you get to the oil refineries. Then you're going to drop a little below 70 miles an hour, and you'll be on and off from there down to about 6th North in Rose Park. And that's about it as far as slowdowns and delays go up in the north side of things. It's still looking really good. 89 Legacy in the west side belt. No accidents on your major feeders over towards I-15 either. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, endless possibilities with 3 locations. Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, and Performance Toyota, where excellence is standard. Start your search at performancebountiful.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
98 for a high today, rain today and tomorrow. Right now, 82 degrees downtown.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Hennifer residents are still evacuated this morning due to the Rocky Canyon fire, which is still burning out of control. Now people living just outside of Colville are being told to be ready to evacuate if necessary. Fire officials are giving an update on the fire right now. Let's listen in.
Hence the reason that we pushed that evacuation is we did hit what we call the trigger point, where at that point it gives us enough time to get people evacuated safely. So we want to appreciate everyone who helped comply with that evacuation in a timely manner that happened pretty seamlessly. And we do understand how scary that can be for people. So just know that we don't do that lightly. We take evacuations very seriously and only do those at a time when there really is an imminent threat. And as people could see from the community down here, it was very real. And where we're seeing spot fires sometimes 2 miles past the flame fronts, the potential for that to move quickly really happened. So thank you everyone for complying. The fire's currently was mapped last night. We were guessing about 15,000 last night, but one of the sides was difficult to access to be able to see the exact perimeter. So we were able to get a mapping mission last night, and it was mapped at 13,601 acres. That is an accurate number of the exact perimeter from our NIROPS flight. And we are at 23% containment, which is really great news. Our teams worked incredibly hard on that perimeter over from Highway 66 coming in across East Canyon and up to the Hogsback area. And so we have containment along that perimeter, which feels really good. Those are some of our areas of concern. There's a lot of values at risk up there with homes up that canyon, as well as East Canyon State Park and the communities up there. So thank you to the firefighters and the crew. The one day where we did strategic firing operations from the north side of East Canyon State Park, it was a pretty lively night up there and a lot of activity, but it happened really calmly and seamlessly, and we kept crews throughout the night along that 65-66 corridor to hold that line, and it's been pretty cool ever since. So as we stated yesterday, where we thought containment was coming, we were finally able to reach it. It feels great. We had a successful community meeting last night. Obviously a lot of concerns on where the fire is pushing and the activity, and those concerns are valid. The fire has been incredibly active. Last night, overnight, our operations shift reported this morning that it was the most active night we've actually seen on the fire since its ignition. Most of the time it had been cooling off overnight, but last night it did not, and it stayed very active. Anyone who stayed up from the Hennifer area watching it, it was making progress along that ridge most of the evening and didn't start to cool off until well into the morning here. And from behind me, you can actually still see that the fire still is progressing. It's still making a push up on that westward slope of the ridge behind us here. So just asking residents and everyone in the area to be cautious. Even coming over here to this press conference, there's a lot of vehicles on the side of the road taking pictures. Please make sure you're pulled all the way off. Make sure you're in a safe area. If you can avoid pulling off of the highway and the interstate and come off to one of these spots along the outside and into a safe parking zone. We're worried about, obviously, accidents and injuries that could happen outside of the fire, an incident outside of what's going on up there. Crews are working really diligently here. Obviously, one of our main areas of priority is right here above Hennifer, and we are inserting a lot of crews. We've got dozers in there working, and we will have Air Attack up flying soon. Air Attack's been instrumentally supportive to the crews on the ground to be able to cool that fire perimeter and get firefighters close to be able to attack this fire more directly. But as you can see, the fire is getting up more into the cliffy area that's really difficult to get ground crews, and even Air Attack can't fly at certain up into the cliffs that way, so it's really difficult accessible terrain right now. So some of the things that we're considering is rappelling people into the top and working it from the top. So there will possibly be some helicopters doing crew shuttles today. So just being aware of that. The helicopters are used for different things, and you may see them doing different missions than just water drops, and our aircraft doing retardant drops. With that, the other area of concern obviously is the fire pushing in that Franklin Canyon over towards Colville and the I-84, I-80 junction. That's a really instrumental area that we're aggressively attacking to keep it north. And honestly, yesterday, thankfully, the winds were favorable for that side of the fire, pushing from the south. And the crews on that side feel really good about their ability to be able to hold that. Yesterday, there was minimal growth on that side. And if the winds and the predicted weather continue the way they are, we likely will start to see some progress. You may see some smoke coming up from that area this morning with the winds pushing from the south. It's a really good opportunity with these cooler temperatures and cloud coverage to do some more strategic firing operations. So please don't be concerned if you see a little bit more fire activity this morning, mid-morning over there. We're seeing favorable conditions right now, and they likely will start to do that to cut that vegetation out in the way of the flame front, so that we can start to slow that fire down and keep it away from that corridor as well as away from the Colville area as well. Moving from there, we obviously know there are some concerns from people over in Morgan as the fire starts to push up these cliffs behind us, but know that we are working that area. It's just really inaccessible terrain, and with all of the loss that we've had this year, we're not putting firefighters in an area where it's not defensible and they don't have a safe evacuation route. And that's our number one priority. So it's not that we don't care. It's not that it isn't a priority. It's knowing where the right ridge is and where the safe place is that we can put firefighters to keep them safe as well as the public. It's a very strategic planning operation to make sure we're doing things as safe as possible. So we really do thank the public. And the one last thing I'll add before we go to questions is we want to make sure people are coming to the official sources of fire information. Utah Fire Information and our incident management team is the only official source for fire information. We appreciate everyone helping share the message. The more people who get the message, the better. But having said that, please be critical consumers of anything you see on any apps or any websites or any other social media pages, and make sure you're verifying that with our incident management team, or if it has to deal with evacuations, that will come directly from the county sheriff. Evacuations should never come from an app or a website. They will come from the county sheriff via their Facebook pages, alert, and oftentimes emergency alerts. So please be cognizant of that. There's been a few scares, and we just want people to know where and how to get the correct information. So with that, we'll open it up to questions here.
We appreciate that update from Sierra Hellstrom, the public information officer, giving us an update on the Rocky Canyon fire. Right now, traffic and weather together, which is brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15 still slow, starting near Timpanogos Highway, reaching up to the point of the mountain. That crash is still there in the left shoulder, so not adding too much to those delays. And then after you pass the cleanup, you're in the clear until about 3300 south, where you're slow again up to 13th south. Southbound I-15 losing the last of its delays delays, though it is still pretty dense as you pass the North Interchange. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cooler temperatures later this week. Today will still be hot, 98 degrees, but 82 for a high on Friday and a chance of rain every day through Friday. Right now, partly cloudy and 83 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio. Utah Fire Watch.
I've been real upset. Just hoping that everything goes good. We've got a lot of beautiful homes in Hanover, and I hope that they don't get destroyed.
And if you joined us at the top of the hour, you were listening to Sierra Hellstrom. She's the Northern Utah Interagency Incident Management Team spokesperson, talking about what's been defined as the Rocky Canyon Fire in Hanover, which has caused, Holly, the evacuation of some of the homes up there.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking that you have to leave your home on a moment's notice, not knowing if you're going to be able to go back.
Yeah, and the update that we just got, the fire is just over 13,000 acres, which is small by today's standards, but still significant when you consider it's a community. And it's 23% contained, which the spokesperson was optimistic about. She thought that was a good thing. Evacuations are still in effect this morning.
Yeah, they are. So we've talked quite a bit about being physically prepared. We've talked about the Ready, Set, Go. We haven't talked a lot about the emotional impact, and I was struck by the soundbite we just heard about the woman who has her home in Hanover and has had one for quite a while. It can be, it's like it's a complicated kind of grief, right?
Yeah, I mean, and even if you look at it as, getting out of the house, saving some belongings, making sure no one's hurt, protecting the animals and that kind of thing. But I can't even imagine what it would be like to walk back into that place after there had been some damage.
So we had a house fire. I think I've shared that before. It was 21 years ago, and the house did not collapse, but it was basically, we lost everything in there. And it was my experience was, I'm grateful we didn't lose any lives. Everything can be replaced. That's the first reaction. But then the grief of losing things that just can't be replaced. So we did lose photographs. I lost all of my food storage, and it was thousands of jars that I had canned, and we lost all of it. Just
to think of the time you spent.
Yeah,
on that.
all of it.
And
Yeah.
you pour your heart into something like that because it's for your family, it's for yourself,
Right.
it's food.
Right.
Yeah,
right. We've never gone back to the same level we had before, right? It's it's a little bit demoralizing, but the emotional impact of leaving your home, you leave on a moment's notice, you take the things you know are the most important as long as you've prepared those. But then the uncertainty of not knowing if your home's going to be there when you go back. And, we've had several stories recently about people who've had to evacuate, even the apartment fire in Midvale.
Yeah.
And people there who, yes, they were able to get out safely. But I remember just seeing a story just in the last couple of days about a family. They're retired. They have renter's insurance. So that's all good, but they lost all of their memories, right?
Yeah.
All of the physical, tangible things, their kids, their grandkids, artwork, the pictures on the wall, all of it was gone.
Yeah, and if you can imagine, we're looking at this fire. We saw it on Saturday growing in that particular area there. And I was thinking it was by East Canyon, and it sort of is, but I hadn't thought about the fact that it was getting close to that community of Hanover, which is a beautiful community. I go cycling up there on the weekends because it's so beautiful and peaceful. I thought it was in Morgan County, but it's actually in Summit County, just sort of on the brink there. But those residents, Holly, and you appreciate this very much, are kind of wondering what they're going to be going back to.
Yeah, and I don't think that they have lost homes yet in that area, but I guess what I'm seeing is there's still multiple structures that are being threatened. Livestock is threatened, and we've seen from some of the other fires across the state of Utah, we have lost structures, we have lost homes, we have lost livestock, right? I think those are all issues that have an impact. And when you have this emergency situation, you kind of get, adrenaline kicks in,
right.
Survival instinct kicks in. But later on, then it becomes, I think, almost like you almost feel guilty that you're grieving and that you lost things. And grateful for the help, grateful that lives were saved, but also really sad at what was lost.
Yeah, this one seems to be headed toward, and I'm trying to be optimistic but realistic, also a happy ending. I mean, it's getting. The newspaper article that came out this morning on KSL was 15,000 acres and 0% contained. As she's defined it, it's slightly smaller, 13,000 acres and 23% contained. So, the definition of the fire is slightly smaller, but the containment is much greater. So it seems to be heading in a good direction, and that community is small but just beautiful. So let's hope it doesn't get toward those homes there.
So I also just want to say I don't know the area as well as you do, but it sounds like it's really close to the intersection of what is it, I-80 and 84 maybe?
Yeah,
up there?
if you're going toward Colville, you can split off and go to Evanston. And then you can go right and go to Colville and stay in Utah. But if you're heading out of the Ogden area and you're going eastbound, you take 84 and then you can catch I-80 up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area. It's the route I take actually when I have court in Park City because I live in Eden. It's sort of the back door. It's a route we took to go to the Park City Arts Festival this last weekend.
Yeah.
Hey, well, when we come back, in a related matter, Governor Spencer Cox has ordered flags around the state to be lowered to half staff for the next several days to honor 2 helicopter pilots who were killed while fighting the Wide Mouth 2 fire in central Utah. Utah Fire Watch. Our coverage continues after this break.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Bad driving habits are hard to break, but good driving habits are easy to form, especially when they can lead to a discount on your auto insurance. With Farm Bureau Financial Services, the safer you drive, the more you save. Drivers like you are saving an average of $351 per vehicle. So buckle up, learn more, and find an agent at fbfs.com/save. Individual savings results may vary. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
If you're a news and politics junkie like myself, you have to make sure you're subscribed to Utah Policy Newsletter. I put it together every morning, every weekday morning, and you can get a list that you can skim of top local and national stories, the stuff that can really make an impact in your daily life, and a little bit of fun, including dad jokes. Just go to utahpolicy.com and hit that subscribe button and join up.
You can't always predict what's next, but you can be ready for it in a BMW SUV. The X1 delivers on confident agility and a striking presence that stands out in a crowd. Or you can own the road in the versatile X3 with advanced driving technology like BMW Connected Drive and sporty design cues. The X5 blends performance and elegance with functionality and a commanding presence. And when only the biggest will do, the X7 steps things up with precision-crafted finishes and 3 rows of luxurious seating so there's always space, even for the biggest plans. Every model is engineered with BMW's intelligent all-wheel drive to give you the confidence in any driving condition. So while you can't always predict what's coming, for every road there's an X built to drive it. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Discover your dream vehicle at BMW of Murray or BMW of Pleasant Grove. BMW Utah. Drive elevated.
Thinking about replacing your windows? Choose the company that builds and installs them right here in Utah. Advanced Window Products is Utah's local window and door manufacturer that sells directly to homeowners. Nate Orchard here. At Advanced Window Products, there are no dealer fees, no middleman markups, and no extra costs to cover someone else's profit. From manufacturing to installation, every step is handled by Advanced Window Products' local team. Every window is custom built in Salt Lake City for Utah's homes and backed by one of the strongest warranties in the industry. A lifetime warranty covering labor, glass, and parts. Even better, it's fully transferable to the next homeowner. Right now, get $2,000 off when you purchase 10 or more windows. Financing is available, and Dominion Energy rebates may help you save even more. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or visit us at advancedwindows.com. That's 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
When you see this in your kitchen,
The stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
you hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
You bought an RV, and you got an automatic discount from Progressive by bundling it with your home or auto insurance. That's great, but a serious word of warning every RVer should heed. You don't need to talk about things like dry weight or dump stations. And you don't need one of those expensive water filter straws either. Because the most extreme thing most RVers encounter is a campsite without hookups. So just enjoy yourself. And Progressive's automatic discount when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Inside Sources.
We've been talking about the fires around the state and the emotional toll from these fires, and of course we're not limited to just to the state. We've got fires around the country, around the West, around the the whole continent, maybe even around the world if you think about what's happening in Europe. But the sadness and devastation is horrific this year.
It is. And this morning, Governor Spencer Cox ordered all U.S. and state flags lowered to honor the 2 helicopter pilots that were killed on Friday while trying to fight the Wide Mouth 2 fire in central Utah.
Yeah, we're continuing our Utah Fire Watch coverage at this segment. We want to talk more about the emotional toll plus the financial toll on the ongoing wildfire disaster.
So on these flags, when every time you see a flag at half staff, I always want to know, well, what is this for? So when you see these, you will know it's to honor Chris Anderson and Miles Elliott. They were the 2 firefighter pilots who crashed on Friday. And Governor Cox in his declaration said that they made the ultimate sacrifice while protecting our state. So the flags should be lowered beginning today and remain at half staff until sunset on the day of the last interment. And I don't know that we have details yet about when those will be, but that will be for all state buildings, and then private citizens, businesses, other organizations. Of course, they're invited to join in this as well.
Yeah, so we had waited for a while to learn the names, identities of these 2 brave pilots. I think it happened, was it Friday?
Mm-hmm.
And it was in an area that was so difficult to access
right.
that recovery crew had to wait
mm-hmm.
until the fire itself allowed them access to this scene. And the plane went down in a really rocky, hilly area. It's about 7,000 feet elevation, difficult to get to under any circumstance, but let alone when you've got some wreckage up there. But it sounds like they've got those 2 bodies out of that area. And
Right. So anyway, that's why the flags will be at half staff for the next week, probably somewhere around there. So one of the stories that I thought was interesting, and we talked about it briefly yesterday, is there was this wildfire evacuation alert sent out, and it went much broader than the area where it actually was meant to go. And so we were wondering yesterday, Greg, like what happened there? Well, we have some answers now.
Yeah, I mean, the authorities have sort of told us what happened, and it like you said, it went to a broad area. I mean, people were getting it from, I think
All
some
the way
people
up
said
to
they got it in
Wyoming.
Evanston, Wyoming.
Yeah.
And people are wondering how it went out, why it went out, and who got it under what circumstances.
So the Summit County Communications and Public Engagement staff use mass text messages to reach county residents. What ended up happening is it ended up in a much broader section than it was supposed to. It wasn't deliberate. But I thought it was interesting, too, that they said they were prioritizing human life, and so they didn't want to send a corrective text because they thought that would be more confusing. It's like, wait, evacuate. Wait, don't evacuate. Right? Do you know what I'm saying? Is they wanted to make sure that the people who knew they needed to evacuate evacuated.
Yeah, it's better to over-evacuate than under. So, yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people probably looked out their window and thought, I don't see anything.
Well, even if you don't see it, I would still go anyways.
Right.
Somebody knows more than I do.
Yeah, if somebody said, get out of your house quickly, I mean, you're not going to walk around and looking for a fire. You're probably going to do what you can. And they had that whole Ready, Set, Go protocol, and they had some areas on ready and others on set, but that was like, get out of there. It sounded like go.
Yeah. So they're saying they think it was a software issue. They have been able to send out other alerts and they haven't had any additional issues, but they recognize the sheriff's office actually apologized for the confusion. He knows it was concerning. In fact, I have a friend who lives in Heber, and she said that they were out of their home when they got this evacuation notice erroneously, and they had pets at home, and they were terrified, right? They were trying to rush back and get their pets.
Yeah, it would almost be worse if you were not at home and you got that, because then you wouldn't
What if you had
know.
kids at home, right? Your older kids or something.
Or somebody watching your kids, or your pets were home alone or something like that, or
exactly.
even just one of your older kids was babysitting the others. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to get these guys out of there.
Right. So everybody's doing their best, but that one was a mistake, and they're trying to figure out why for sure, but they do think it's a software issue.
Yeah, we're also learning the other costs of these wildfires, which of course are the financial costs, and they have really stretched a lot of counties' budgets and state budget and federal budget in ways that we hadn't dealt with in the past because they're bigger this year. And I think that Utah, what are we at? Over 500,000 acres burned so far.
Yeah,
at 500 some odd thousand, and growing by the day, by the hour, seemingly. And these are significant fires. We've had several fires that are 100,000 acres each. I
more
think
than
3.
one.
Right.
So Jamie Barnes, she's the Utah State Forester and head of the Utah's Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. She said it's been an expensive year. It's early August, and there's still a lot of wildfire season left this year, so it's going to be an expensive year.
Yeah, and she said so far they've recorded $29 million in spending responding to wildfires this year. An account that the legislature set aside for wildfire has been nearly $130 million. But Barnes said that the jump this year is likely to continue until October. So
I know. Just imagine big wildfires. In fact, we talked about this yesterday as well. The typical big fires come like late July, early August, and here we are early August, and we've already had several massive fires.
Yeah, we're entering or just in the midst of the big fire season. So and like we just indicated, they're assuming some of these fires are going to continue into October. So we're maybe halfway through the season and we're at 500,000 acres. I hope we don't get. I mean, I think the biggest season we've had was 600,000. We're very quickly approaching
it was like
that.
629,000 in 2007. And those fires, a texter asked us yesterday, when did those fires start? Late July, right? And so we're way ahead of schedule.
Right.
We're way ahead of schedule. So you also have flooding from these fires, and that's going to take an financial impact. So, of course, we know Fillmore residents were urged to prepare for flooding from the Wide Mouth 2 fire, which could end up burning and flooding simultaneously. And it's closing roads down there, Greg. I think you know Fillmore.
Yeah, I was scheduled to do a bicycle race this weekend in Richfield, and we were checking in Friday night. I got a notice last night that they had canceled it because even though the check-in is in Sevier County in Richfield, part of the route goes into Millard County, and some of the roads that we were going to be riding are closed, let alone you probably wouldn't want to be
breathing
racing
in the
a
smoke.
bicycle as fast as you can for 3 hours. I was looking forward to it. It's a beautiful ride. It's called the Richfield Rooster Ride. 60 miles was the one I was going to take. There's 160 and a 30 mile. But anyway, it's just a gorgeous area, and it's just sad because Richfield took a hit last year too.
Yeah.
That area wasn't very far away from that that other big fire that we had last year that was just over the hill in Wayne County.
Yeah. So the state has set aside rainy day funds. That's something that Utah, I think, has done really, really well. Is not only do we live within our budget as a state legislature, but they also make sure that there are rainy day funds. And it's exactly what it sounds like. They're emergency funds for unanticipated things that might happen, including like the Great Recession that happened in 2008 and 9. I mean, but these natural disasters, they will be able to pull on some of those funds. But look, next week is Utah's interim week. And so I'm sure that legislators are going to hear a lot about funding. So the first set of meetings on next Tuesday, we'll be talking about appropriations and money. And then the next day, they'll be talking about potential policy changes.
And Utah this year alone has had 3 what they call mega fires. That's a fire that's 100,000 acres or greater. We've had 3 of those so far. Babylon Fire in southeastern Utah, Cottonwood Fire in southwestern Utah, Widemouth 2 Fire. And then even when the fire's over, think about what happened in Beaver County.
I know.
Then you've got flooding damage. So you've got other consequences of the fire that can be just as devastating to the homeowners and just as expensive to the community to resolve.
Yeah, these wildfires, like, they're just not going away. And I am heartened by seeing lower temperatures coming towards the end of the week. I hope that might give firefighters a little bit of a boost. But, you think about the costs of hundreds of people on the Widemouth fire. I think we talked yesterday, it was over 600 firefighters on the fire, multiple aerial vehicles, multiple water transport vehicles. So these costs do add up.
Yeah, and the residents of Fillmore are being told already, be careful, there's potential for floods.
Yeah. After the bottom of the hour news, we want to talk about everybody's favorite topic, taxes.
Yay.
All right. That might sound pretty unexciting, I admit. But property taxes are set to rise across the state. And so you'll want to stick around for a conversation on how you can be best informed before that tax bill comes in the fall. Stay with us.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. Summit County officials say the area is resilient, but they want to give residents the support they need to get through the experience. KSL News Radio's Claire Scott explains.
I spoke with Summit County's Director of Behavioral Health while he was set up at the temporary shelter in Colville, awaiting residents in need.
We're just here to help work with people and to be that extra support for them.
Aaron Newman tells me they have a team on site to start conversations with people if they look like they could use a hand.
And then if it seems like, this is just being really difficult and hard on this individual, then our professionals come in and help, and we go off to a private area and have discussions and work with them.
Newman says the community is tight-knit in Summit County, so residents can lean on each other.
It really helps us create this environment of, we're going to get through this. We're going to recover from this.
Claire Scott, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour, Luigi Mangione, who is accused of shooting and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in 2024, is back in court today for a pretrial hearing. Mangione has pled not guilty to both state and federal charges.
In all likelihood, this is going to be the last time that we see Luigi Mangione in court before jury selection in what plans to be a blockbuster state trial that will begin right after Labor Day. Now, today's hearing is a pre-trial conference to try and iron out those last-minute details, including media access and what is likely to be one of the most high-profile trials that we have seen in quite some time.
ABC's Matt Rivers reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 18 points. At this hour, we're at 53,948. Coming up, we've got rain in the forecast this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Summer may look like it's wrapping up, but you still got 4 weeks to get yourself in shape. And by the way, Soda Diet Nutrition has a 4-week offer that expires at the same time. This is the last time you can take advantage of it. Call 866-800-SODA and mention KSL News Radio and get 4 weeks free. Grab it before the summer is over. Remember, Soda is a program that has no injections, no awful side effects, just a natural way to lose weight. 4 free weeks if you call right now. I hooked up with Soda in April this year. I lost almost 30 pounds and I've kept it off. Soda is not a quick fix. It's not something that is that you have to work on for years. It's something that has proven success. You lose weight, you learn how to keep the weight off, and that's what it's worked for me. You learn what your body can do so that the weight stays off long after the program ends. No injections, no pills, no ongoing prescription costs. You walk away healthier, more confident, and free from chasing the next expensive fix. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Wow, this is the time of year when the temperatures are off the chart, and it's not the time for us to go into our backyards where it is so warm, fire up the hot grill, and then slap on a steak, and then stand there and try to make it taste as good as Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. First of all, it's impossible. So why not just go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for the best meal you have had all summer long? The steaks cooked to perfection, other wonderful entrees as well, from seafood to poultry, you name it, the side dishes, the desserts. You don't have to do the cleanup. You don't have to stand there over the hot grill. You just sit back in that air-conditioned comfort with the people you love, and you have a dining experience that you're going to remember. Hotel Park City up in Summit County, there's a Ruth's Chris there, and downtown Salt Lake City, 275 Southwest Temple.
And Doug. Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons, and lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at LibertyMutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at uccu.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Looks like the left lane is now blocked as they try to get this car onto a tow truck on northbound I-15 at the point of the mountain. Though the delays there have cleared out. Where it is slow still is at the south interchange. Just a little bit of slowdowns working its way out from the morning there. And northbound Bangerter Highway, the normal scattered delays from 3500 south up to the 201 freeway. Got an old car? Donate it at carsforkids.org. It's easy and they'll pick it up as soon as tomorrow. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS today. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've got a chance of rain every day this week through Friday. Our best chance for rain looks like Thursday right now. Still hot today, 98 degrees, but will cool down to the low 80s Thursday and Friday. Right now it's 84 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You got to listen to ABBA once in a while.
I know. And look, I guess unless you're a rich person who doesn't have to pay attention to taxes, you might want to pay attention to this next story because property taxes could be going up in your neighborhood.
Yeah, and so we're having these truth in taxation meetings, which are underway around the state. Salt Lake City is, in fact, holding one tonight.
If you're new to Utah, and I didn't realize this was maybe unique to Utah, but these truth and taxation meetings, and you may not be familiar with how they work and how you can be involved in the decisions around where your hard-earned dollars are going to for taxes.
So let's break it down with Billy Hesterman. He is the president of the Utah Taxpayers Association, and he's joining us this morning. Billy, thanks for joining us again.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Good to see you.
So,
good to see you
so
too.
for our listeners who don't understand what a truth in taxation meeting is, can you just give us an overview?
Yes. So this is the last chance you get as a taxpayer to meet with your elected officials, whether it's the city or the school district, and to let them know how you feel about their proposed property tax increase plan that they have. And this is your chance to share your thoughts with them about, did you do a good job with the budget, or are you seeing things in the budget that you'd like to see slashed or cut so that you're keeping some more of your money?
So, Billy, I know that there are multiple entities that are able to impose taxes. Do they all have to hold truth and taxation meetings?
So what happens is under Utah's law, our tax law for property taxes, an entity can keep whatever their previous year's revenue was and whatever new developments are made in there, whatever revenue they get from that. But when they exceed that number, they have to hold a truth and taxation meeting and inform the public that they're asking for more money, and that then they're inviting the public to come in and learn about what it is they want to spend that money on, and then give a public comment on what it is that, if you approve or don't approve of that plan. Fun story is that our former president that many are familiar with, Howard Stevenson, he had an elected official once tell him they'd rather run naked across a stage than hold a truth and taxation meeting because they can be so emotional, and there's a lot of passion in them.
Do we know, Billy, why Salt Lake City's doing theirs? Is there something significant that's going on in the city that they're trying to raise funds for, like the airport or something?
So their biggest line item is about $6.5 million. The total budget increase is 13.5, and their biggest one is for capital improvement projects. Looks like they want to do some improvements at their parks, replace some facilities, or renew some of the facilities they have, do a water line restoration at Washington Park, Sugar House Park, work on their trails and the Jordan Park sewer improvement. So their biggest item looks like one of those that you go, yeah, maybe this is a reason you need to have an increase.
So, Billy, I think it was this last legislative session that Representative Karen Peterson got a bill passed that really clarified, I guess, the truth and taxation hearing process prior to raising taxes. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, Representative Peterson passed a great bill, and there's lots of helpful things that have come from it. And so a lot of credit to her. Also, a lot of credit to the League of Cities and Towns for working with us on this to get it right. What happened is the cities and the school districts, if they're going to raise your property tax, they have to notify you that they're intending to do it by early June, late May, so that you can come be involved in the budget process, because they have to adopt their budget by the end of June. And so it was, adding that involvement that they're going to be involved and get to know the budget. And then also with it is that they have to issue a property tax impact statement. And this is one of the great pieces I think has come out of this bill, is now every resident can find that property tax impact statement. It should have been mailed out to them, or it should be posted on the city or school district website, where they can see line item by line item what is getting more money and what it's being used for. So you really can be an informed taxpayer when you go to these meetings and say, I agree we need to improve the sewer, but maybe we don't need to hire that extra person for the parks department, or the extra person in whatever it might be. But it really is a helpful piece to make sure we're getting taxpayers informed. And so it can be a constructive conversation at these meetings, and not just a "how dare you, you dirty cheats, you're taking more money from me" meeting.
Hey, Billy, are there other municipalities or districts that the association is taking a close look at right now? We talked about Salt Lake City.
Certainly, we have our eyes on the Granite School District. I believe their meeting is tonight also, that they have a $21 million property tax increase. They tried to do this last year and then got hung up on some crossing of T's and dotting of I's in their noticing that made it so they couldn't get their increase. So we're hopeful that this year if they get it through, that they take a break, because they are on year 4 of doing a property tax increase 4 years in a row. So we'd like to see them get this through if they need it, and then hopefully take a break for 4 or 5 years before they ask again. And then also looking at Eagle Mountain is another one that has a large increase. They are looking to expand their police force, so they have some justification to it. They started out last week, it was over 200% increase. They've now bumped it down to, I think it was 164. Is what I last saw. So there is some work going through that. They'll have another meeting to finalize that, and hopefully they'll come down at a lower number, but still make sure they're providing the services that residents want.
So, Billy, you have talked about having people have the ability to have input. I will just say there's a story out of North Logan. This is the way not to do it. A man
Yes.
showed up at the school board meeting and threatened to kill everybody there. So let's not do that. But if people do have concerns, what do you think is an appropriate and maybe effective way to share those concerns? Because threatening to kill them, that's not effective.
I don't think it's a surprise to anyone when it comes to politics. The meeting is the last chance. So I would say if you are concerned, get to know your budget and reach out to your elected official, whether it's your school board member, your city council member, your county council member, before the meeting. Their contact information is online. Reach out to them, share with them where you're seeing things that you go, we could trim the fat here. And also let them know if you're saying this is a really important program that I want to see funded, let them know that on the other side, but do it beforehand. And then also, build that relationship before, but also, invite your neighbors and friends to also come to that meeting so that they can see that it's not just you, it's a collective group, but that is educated, that is informed, that is being respectful to the process. And then as you move forward, that's the way to do it. Let's get less of, yelling at people or, let's certainly leave the guns at home and do it the right way. Let's be a productive society and not one where people are going to be scared to show up to a public meeting.
All right. That was Billy Hesserman, president of the Utah
Thanks,
Taxpayers
Billy.
Association. He's always good about joining us. It must be some sort of time of the year or something. There must be
It
things
is.
going on right now that are causing a lot of these municipalities to start taking a look at things. Of course, you've also got school districts, water districts, other municipal organizations that are doing what they need to do to try to get their taxes in order. Well, when we come back on Inside Sources, I want to talk about an interesting situation up at the University of Utah. Students there are demanding university leadership to make the U a sanctuary campus. They've actually passed a resolution. Let's get some legal conversations about that when we come back.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Looking to transform your kitchen or bathroom? Discover the difference at AMC Building Materials. New arrivals are here. Explore the latest shaker-style cabinets, sleek European-style flat panel cabinets, and beautiful new quartz countertops in today's most popular colors. With a 25,000 square foot showroom and a warehouse in Salt Lake City, AMC keeps a wide selection of the most popular cabinets and countertops in stock. So many in-stock cabinet styles are available for same-day purchase and pickup, making it easy to start your project right away. Enjoy factory direct pricing, free design, free in-home measurements, and expert installation. Most remodeling projects are completed in as little as 10 days. Visit the AMC Building Materials Showroom at 3678 South 700 West or schedule your free estimate today at amckitchensaltlakecity.com. AMC Building Materials. Come see the difference today.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry is the jewelry we never wear. It sits tucked away in a drawer. A ring from a grandmother, a pendant from years gone by, pieces filled with stories, but not part of your everyday life. Duke's Jewelers believes those pieces deserve more. For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has helped families reimagine heirloom jewelry, transforming what once was into something you'll love wearing today and pass down tomorrow. Whether it's resetting a stone, redesigning a ring, or creating something entirely new, Duke's Jewelers will guide you through every step, right there in the store. And if you have jewelry that no longer fits your story, Duke's Jewelers also buys gold, offering a simple, transparent way to turn it into something meaningful again. Bring in what you have and create something you'll never want to take off. Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville, where your story continues.
Hi, how can I help? Well, my husband and I feel like we've outgrown our current money manager. I see. Our lives have changed, and we need something more than just mutual funds to help us in retirement.
She's right.
I hear that often. At Fisher Investments, we'd start by getting to know you, your finances, family, health, lifestyle. We tailor a portfolio around your goals and needs.
Sounds good.
Can you help with estate planning? Yes. We have a team of specialists who can help you with estate planning, Social Security, investment income, and more. We'll get to know your whole financial picture and help keep you on the path to a comfortable retirement.
And your fees?
We have a simple, transparent fee that's a percentage of the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better. I feel better already. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com/different. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Your business isn't just a balance sheet. It's the late nights, the bold bets, the people counting on you to get it right. At UMB Bank, they've stood beside businesses like yours since 1913, not just as a bank, but as a team who understands what's at stake. Because real banking isn't just transactions, it's trust. It's a relationship built to last. Visit UMB.com. UMB.com. Bank deposit products provided by UMB Bank N.A. member FDIC.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, we learned this morning about a push by 2 student groups at the University of Utah, Holly, to have the school declared a sanctuary campus.
So the school's board of trustees say they will listen to the students' arguments, but I don't know what they can actually do in this regard. And so I want to do a special Ask the Attorney to get your take.
Yeah, but first, let's get a little more details about what they're demanding. And this is at KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff.
Students of the University of Utah is scheduled to present a resolution to the Board of Trustees today. In addition to asking that the campus be declared a sanctuary for students regardless of citizenship or immigration status, it asks the university to increase training for immigrants about their rights. Leaders for some groups in favor of the resolution tell KSL they're seeing fear among immigrants on campus, and that fear undermines student success. Board of Trustees has said this is an issue beyond their delegated authority. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
So it does kind of come down to that issue, and that is what authority do school administrators have. Now, the students have passed this joint resolution, which is just that, a resolution. We, the students, resolve that
like the legislature does sometimes.
Right,
Yep.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And they're saying, we want this school to be declared a sanctuary school. They've actually named a couple of things. Don mentioned one or two. One of which is we want more training.
Mhm.
Now, this seems appropriate, although it's up to the school, obviously, for our students to know what their rights are.
Right.
In other words, if you're confronted by an immigration officer, do you have
On
to
campus.
disclose
Yep.
information
Mhm.
about that?
Mhm.
I think what some people thought this resolution would do, and it does not do, is prohibit ICE from entering the campus or
Mhm.
saying we're a
Right.
ICE-free zone or something like that. I don't think the student resolution, at least nothing that I saw, would go that far. But they do want to have a policy at the University of Utah that that the students there are deemed to be there appropriately, and that they have information that they can rely on when they're confronted by an officer. So it's a resolution, but the administration is saying, well, sounds good, but
Well, there's only so much that they can do, and that's I guess one of the questions. So resolutions are a way to let your feelings be known on certain issues, and I think there are some things that they can do. I think having an information campaign or some additional training, I think that can be appropriate. I think one of the things that they're asking for also, if I'm not mistaken, is that they want to know that campus security is not, quote, cooperating with ICE. And that's, I mean, there are a lot of law enforcement entities around the state that don't have these type of cooperative agreements with ICE agents, right? They're not preventative, like they can't prevent them, like you said, from coming on campus, but they don't also have to say, hey, I've got this student and I don't know what his immigration status is. Maybe you should come check it out.
right. And different law enforcement agencies around the state have different policies in terms of how they deal with the immigration enforcement community and at what level they'll cooperate. I know that some of the jails have taken a position that we will share our roster, our inmate roster, with ICE so that they can take steps there. Some have said they won't. Some law enforcement community will have information when they're arresting a person and taking them into custody. Do we check their immigration status? Is that our business? Do we report them to ICE? Is that our business? And different agencies have taken different approaches, which is fine, and I think it makes a lot of sense. For the University of Utah, it's a little bit different because their students are there voluntarily. They're there to take classes. They're paying the university to take classes there. And these two bodies, ASUU and the Senate up there, the Student Senate, are saying we want some level of comfort for these students. We want them to feel like they're not under the gun and that they're not going to be turned in. And we also want to take it to another level, which is maybe we train them and say, and I've seen these little training cards. It's almost like a Miranda card.
Sure.
If you're approached by someone, you have certain rights and obligations, and you can say this and that. And I'm not going to give legal advice right now, but there are certain things you don't have to do.
Right. So one of the things that I found when I was when I went back to school, as a non-traditional student, so I was 51 when I got my bachelor's degree, and it was a different university and a different topic. But one of the things that we did for my public relations capstone was work together as a team to make some changes on campus. And we were really focused on veterans at that point. So what we could do is make recommendations maybe for additional language on the syllabi or, additional focused, veteran-focused core classes. Those are some of the things that our group did more than a decade ago now, and it's still in place. So those types of things can happen. What I don't think can happen is any kind of pronouncement that might violate state law or federal law. The University of Utah is a public university governed by the state of Utah. I don't think it would go well for them to say, hey, in defiance of other things happening, we're going to declare this. I don't think that would fly.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I don't think they could say ICE is banned from the campus.
Right.
I mean, that would be taking it too far. I would also say this, and I say this without personal knowledge, but I haven't seen a problem with immigration enforcement entering our public schools or universities, even nationally. And that's not to say it doesn't occur. These kids got together, these two student groups, and decided they needed to pass this. And it may have been to give the immigrant community some solace, some level of comfort that, hey, we've got your back. But I don't think it's in response to, hey, we've got ICE agents walking around the campus. I just don't, You know what I mean?
Well, maybe we don't know.
Yeah, that's right. We don't know. They didn't do this for no reason at all. But I think it's largely symbolic, and I think it's a good symbol. I think it's a good message to send to that community.
I think they talked about the fear, and we've talked with a number of guests over the last year plus that we've been doing this show, and they've talked a lot about the fear in Utah's immigrant community, specifically the Hispanic community, because that's a target right now. They're choosing to not go to school. That's the problem, right? That's one of the problems. They don't feel safe going to school. This is even K through 12, but now once you get to the university level, people are not feeling safe to go to school and to go to class. And are they going to be picked up from their job? In fact, that's one of the things that these student groups are saying is like even people working on campus are worried now. And I've seen multiple examples of people who look Hispanic who are U.S. citizens who are being grabbed by ICE, and they're saying, I've got a birth certificate, I've got a passport, I'm a U.S. citizen, and they're like, that's all fake.
Yeah.
There has to be some
to the judge,
right. There has to be some level here of you can trust that due process will happen.
Yeah, and I remember from my years at the University of Utah that there were certain groups. La Raza was the one that I recall the most, and it may have different names now. That it was a very Frank Cordova, who is a very prominent activist here in the community. Sort of took his roots at the University of Utah. He and I worked together, but it was a great group on campus for the Hispanic community, and that university, at least the University of Utah, does have a significant Hispanic population.
Sure.
And they have kids there from all over the world. I mean, in graduate schools there, they're kids learning all kinds of trades. And so I think it is important to have some rallying, some support, some, hey, we've got your back, and we want to make sure that you feel some comfort here, because what you just said really hit me hard, which is some students aren't going to school. Like that's what I think. If nothing but that gets resolved and kids are thinking, okay, I think I can go to school, I feel comfortable doing that, that's got to be huge all by itself.
Yeah, that's again, I think these issues are really relevant. I applaud the student organizations for bringing it up to the forefront of a discussion with the Board of Trustees. I don't know that any action will specifically be taken on this issue, but maybe there will be some statements. Maybe there will be something added to the syllabi for this fall to say, look, you're welcome here, no matter what your background is. We kind of already have non-discriminatory statements, but...
Yeah, so it's Joint Resolution 10, enacted by a couple of student groups, ASUU and the Student Senate, a resolution to the faculty and staff of the University of Utah saying we would like you to declare this school a sanctuary campus, or at least treat it as a sanctuary campus. And there are certain, not demands, but suggestions about how people can be educated about their rights if they're here.
And I think the word sanctuary is pretty loaded, and so there's nothing legally binding with that.
Right. Yeah, it is a resolution that it sounds like university officials are taking seriously.
In the next hour of Inside Sources, back to school, we're going to talk about school zone and bus safety. I mean, come on, you got to slow down and pay attention. Schools are getting back underway. Plus, we talked with the physician about the president's new executive order on vaccines. We'll be right back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. Utah has some extremely large homes. The only problem is there's no one to buy them. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The size of the average home on the market here in Utah is 2,440 square feet. An analysis by NetCredit says that's the second largest in the U.S. and about 20% bigger than what other states are offering. The largest homes on the market are in Provo, Salt Lake City, and St. George. But there's no one to buy these large homes. Housing affordability is a major challenge here, where starter homes are needed, not these homes built for big families. The analysis also looked at the average price per square footage for housing. Utah ranked 13th in the nation at $307 per square foot. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We're learning this morning that President Trump's departure from the NATO summit in Turkey last month was not as it seemed. ABC's Karen Hua reports.
The Washington Post reports when the president departed the NATO summit in Turkey last month, the plane that the world watched him board took off without him. It all came after a credible Iranian threat against the president, which he spoke about during the summit.
They want to take out the U.S. leader, me. I'm on every list.
The ruse was so complete, reporters on Air Force One had no idea the president was not on board. They were ordered to keep the window shades closed, and the plane's tracking systems were switched off.
The president actually boarded the older Air Force One in front of the cameras, then slipped out a door on the other side of the plane into an airport catering truck, which then drove him to a smaller military jet to get him out of the country. Your money at this moment, the Dow right now down 20 points. We're at 53,955. Coming up hot today, but a cool down is coming. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. And I was thinking the other day, Monty, that every water softener I've ever seen has a giant tank that holds bags and bags of water softener salt. Well, except one, the one I have in my home. And I picture this, my Connecticut has the little salt tank about the size of a paper shredder or a small trash can.
Well, Doug, that's because the Connecticut water softeners use so much less salt, an average of 70% less than other water softeners. So you don't need a tank that holds 6 or 8 bags of salt.
I love the fact that it's so easy to fill because I don't have to lift those bags up so high, and it seems like those bags of salt, well, they're getting heavier every year.
Yes, it does. When you're using 1 bag of salt for every 3 a regular water softener uses, there's no need for a large salt tank.
Tired of lifting those heavy salt bags to fill your giant water softener salt tank? Go to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Amanda, every business needs IT help, and sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't, or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure, so both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement, and it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be 6 figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. And here's Cormac Bone.
We do have a disabled vehicle in the left shoulder eastbound on the 201 freeway just before you get to I-15. Again, they're in that left shoulder, so no delays behind them. Northbound I-15 is maybe a little slow at 3300 south, but otherwise I-15 looks really good between Ogden and Provo. And some regular delays to look out for eastbound on 2100 north in Lehigh, pretty dense approaching 2300 west. Seeing cracked, curling, or missing shingles on your roof? Don't wait. Save big during S&S Roofing's huge summer sale. From a small repair to a full replacement, SNSRoofingUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have a few isolated thunderstorms today, but it will be hot, a high of 98. 93 tomorrow, and then a cool down that'll keep us in the low 80s Thursday and Friday with a good chance of thunderstorms. Right now, it's 88 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, forget the science, I guess. President Trump is attempting to limit the number of childhood vaccinations and split them up in different ways, even though the broader scientific community disagrees.
Yeah, let's get some basics with ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce about this.
The president now calling for fewer childhood vaccines, recommending that children be vaccinated against 11 diseases. That's down from the previous 18 recommended by the CDC. And central to the president's plan is splitting up the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine into 3 separate shots, even though individual shots are currently not available here in the U.S. and despite the fact that we are now in the middle of the largest measles outbreak in decades.
So I felt like we needed to bring in some science and get some medical insights.
Yeah, and so just before we came on the air today, we consulted a local expert, Dr. Richard Ferguson. He's an emergency room doctor and the president of the Black Physicians of Utah.
Look, we have some questions about this new executive order from President Trump, and I'll just say at the beginning that I wasn't aware that you could change scientific recommendations by executive order. And so I wonder what your first response is to this executive order changing the schedule for childhood vaccines.
I think it's going to be legally challenged because your first statement there is pretty right. There's a reason why we combine vaccines. It actually improves safety and reduces visits for parents. Like, that's the first thing that comes to mind. But yeah, this will be challenged by not only scientific organizations such as the American Academy of Family Physicians, American Academy of Pediatricians. It will be challenged for sure because this is going against science that's been vetted for decades, and also very misleading statements our president made yesterday. It only causes harm for people that maybe will trust someone that's not a physician over their physician. For the statements he made, it just increased a lot of fear. I feel if people really take him at his word and what they say, because his evidence was they. Who is they? But it's really harmful. So I want to try to make sure we can try to reassure parents, because we're right about to go into the school year. People are getting appointments set up. They're worried. I want to try to dispel some of that.
What is happening with this change? What specifically, if you're a parent, should they know about how this is different than the current vaccine schedule? What specifically is being excluded?
So we have to remember RFK Jr. he already felt too many vaccines at one visit. So this isn't the first time we kind of mentioned this. He's been wanting to reduce the number of vaccines. I think from 15 to he wants to get it down to 11. And also now where we have this unnecessary executive order, I'm trying to remember the number of it. It's like 1-4. I don't know. He's done so many executive orders. But anyhow, what he's trying to initially do, one, this is part of that overall of trying to reduce the number of vaccines in total given in childhood, and then wanting to space them out. So the first one is that brings the most striking attention is the MMR, measles, mumps, rubella. That has been a combined vaccine since pretty much the early 80s, but it's been in existence since the 70s. And worldwide, I can't think of a developed nation or any nation. Don't even make it anymore where it's separate. It's always combined. So that's one thing that you can't, tomorrow's or today, someone can't go in and say, I just want measles. It's combined. Like I want to say it's Merck that makes the combo, has the separation. So that's one thing that won't be immediate impact. Once again, let's always start off this. There's no credible evidence to anything that was said yesterday. Saying that people explode or they get harmed. if there was anything was lethal, I mean, he said at the time lethal at 5%, we would have stopped providing that vaccine if it had that type of mortality rate to our children. We would never do something like that. So, of course, there's a risk, minute, very, very, very minute risk when receiving any medication or shot. Now, you're spacing it out. As opposed to having one shot, you now have 3. There's some shots where it's actually 5 in 1.
Wow.
And that myth about the large volume, it's 0.5 mLs. I don't know if anyone can actually, when's the last time someone gave 0.5 mLs to someone at their home? Usually your smallest dose of Tylenol is probably 2.5 mLs.
Right.
And you're giving that to your child by mouth.
And that's a half a teaspoon.
Right.
Yeah. So
2.5. Yeah, 2.5
if you really
mils
think
is half
about
a
it.
teaspoon.
But to answer your question, so I want to answer your question. There's this plan to space out, which is unnecessary. It's not backed by anything, and it's only going to cause confusion and place our children at more risk.
So can I ask you a question about what parents need to know as they get ready to go back to school? Because it sounds to me like if you say, well, I do want to separate these vaccines, it's not even possible. Who knows how long it will take? Because I don't know. It feels like it could be months to years before you had vaccines that were potentially separated out. What about the people going back to school this week and next week? What do they need to know? This change cannot happen overnight. So unless their pediatrician for some reason wants to follow Trump's executive order and avoid all science in their training and see that as some holy grail of advice, which I can't think of any board certified pediatrician or healthcare provider that would follow that. This is not going to impact school vaccinations at all, or coverage of school vaccinations. We have to understand that even with this executive order, the HHS needs 90 days to present plans addressing this vaccine sequence and this change. And then you need a pharmaceutical industry that's going to make separated vaccinations, which don't exist right now in the US in our public health system. So it will not. So I would go in and say, I would tell every parent, don't abandon your child's vaccine schedule because of yesterday's announcement. Talk with your pediatrician, and they will reaffirm that your pediatrician will continue to follow the evidence-based schedule that is currently out there, that I'm currently going to do for my child. My child is 6 weeks old today. And I cannot wait for him to get his 8-week shots so I can actually have more people contact him. Right now, the biggest threat to my newborn, my 6-weeker, are really other children. So if other children are not going to go along an expected vaccine schedule, my child is at risk. And many other newborns will be, for sure. That was Dr. Richard Ferguson, president of the Black Physicians of Utah, on the executive order yesterday by President Trump wanting to change the childhood vaccination schedules. I have to say, too, that Senator Bill Cassidy, who is a physician, he posted on X yesterday, and I don't think he was holding back. He says, I'm a doctor. This executive order is wrong. The president does not have the expertise to make these changes. Vaccines are overwhelmingly safe. They're effective. They do not cause autism. And breaking up vaccines will mean children have to get more shots to get the same protection, not fewer shots. It will increase hesitancy and make children less safe.
Yeah, and it's at a time when you're seeing a measles outbreak.
A measles outbreak.
What we haven't had in decades, and suddenly we're changing the vaccine schedule. Again, doesn't make a lot of sense. And it was interesting, this particular doctor that we just talked to, Richard Ferguson, has a 6-week-old child, and he said, I'm going to, not necessarily it's foolproof, there's no risks, but I, as a parent, I'm going to get my child vaccinated.
And that child is most vulnerable to measles right now because he can't get vaccinated. I don't know if his baby's a boy or a girl, but that baby can't get vaccinated yet and will be soon. So interesting conversation. But I think the bottom line for parents, you do not you can't expect anything different for separated vaccines right now. They just don't exist.
Yeah, well, speaking of interesting conversations, we want to talk after the break about artificial intelligence and whether or not that can affect your job. Are there certain jobs that are just immune from artificial intelligence? Text us at 57500 and tell us what jobs you think are going to be insulated from AI. We'll talk about that. I think lawyers maybe, but we'll talk about that after the break.
Jane is a small business owner. Tell them what that's like, Jane.
Yeah, well, it's like a roller coaster with a lot of ups and downs, and some days things can feel like they're flying off the rails.
Yep, it's a lot. But the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business can help you manage it all. With the largest, fastest fiber-powered network designed for 100% reliability with business internet and wireless connect.
Nice. So everything stays on track.
The Total Solutions Advantage. No one does business like Comcast Business.
The more solutions you add, the more you save. Get started today with a qualifying internet package for as low as $60 a month when you add an advanced solution. Plus, new customers, ask how to get up to $1,500 in prepaid cards when you add 2 lines of mobile to a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. New customers only. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and automatic payments with bank account required. $60 offer requires 300 meg internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. Equipment, tax, and fees extra. Prepaid card offers end 9/13/2026.
If you're in the market for a new vehicle, start at Performance Automotive in Bountiful. Browse a large inventory of Ford, Toyota, and Honda vehicles, plus hundreds of quality pre-owned options. Whether you're upgrading your daily commute, looking for more space for the family, or ready for your next truck or SUV, the team at Performance Automotive can help you find the right fit. Visit Performance Ford, Performance Toyota, and Performance Honda today, or shop online at performancebountiful.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-881-8686. That's 800-881-8686. 800-881-8686.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry is the jewelry we never wear. It sits tucked away in a drawer. A ring from a grandmother, a pendant from years gone by. Pieces filled with stories, but not part of your everyday life. Duke's Jewelers believes those pieces deserve more. For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has helped families reimagine heirloom jewelry, transforming what once was into something you'll love wearing today and pass down tomorrow. Whether it's resetting a stone, redesigning a ring, or creating something entirely new, Duke's Jewelers will guide you through every step, right there in the store. And if you have jewelry that no longer fits your story, Duke's Jewelers also buys gold, offering a simple, transparent way to turn it into something meaningful again. Bring in what you have and create something you'll never want to take off. Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville, where your story continues.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
You know, we talk about artificial intelligence as it relates to so many things. We want to talk about what jobs are insulated and protected from being taken over by artificial intelligence, if there are any. What do you think? Text us at 57500 and tell us if your job or any job that you think is immune from artificial intelligence takeover.
Look, artificial intelligence, we talk about it a lot on our show. It's continuing to grow. It's becoming part of our everyday lives. And there are things like, there are even jobs like, you know, that I have been a midwife, and that is a pretty hands-on, human-oriented job. But then I think of the Star Wars movies, and Queen Amidala had her babies delivered by robots. So I don't know.
So anyway, if you're in the mood to change jobs and you want something AI can't do, at least for now, text us, and we've got a list for you, some things that you might do that you might want to consider. I think it's going to be a long time before AI takes over a lot of jobs.
It depends on which portions of it, right? Because maybe there are some things where it has a role, but some where they don't. So we have a couple of texters already, and one says teachers like Claudia Wright. I don't know Claudia, but way to go, Claudia. You got a shout out. And then this texter says, I think AI teaching will be too much by the book, right? I mean, there's no ability for AI really to look at body language, for example, and take feedback.
I had a teacher at Cottonwood High School named Claudia Wright, and she was amazing. So I hope it's the same woman, but she's got to be retired by now. She was awesome.
You would think.
Awesome. I would never want to replace her.
Look, so we have Spencer who's texted us and says a large amount of blue-collar jobs are safe from AI. Manufacturing, journeyman, airport, airline, flight ops, welders, etc. And we've got two more, one that says plumber and one that says locksmith. And so we want to read a few of the ones that CNBC says these are 10 AI-proof jobs. You want to give us a couple?
Yeah, so I'm looking at them as sort of, I looked at your 65 jobs with the lowest.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to break them into categories, a lot of the medical professional, nurses, nurse practitioners, nurse midwives, a whole bunch of nurses, and then a lot of engineering jobs, biomedical engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. So there are certain jobs that I think are probably going to be safe. You know, what's not on the 65 list are attorneys. I don't see that anywhere on here. And I would think trial lawyers. You know what I mean? Maybe some, I don't know, maybe I just think
Wouldn't it be interesting if you had, there's got to be a dystopian movie about this, if you had courts run by robots and judges, because then you could, quote unquote, take the emotion out of it. That would be weird.
Yeah, I mean, number one is nurse practitioners, choreographers, of course, you know, that makes sense. Physician's assistants, mental health counselors, a lot, like I say, nursing instructors. I mean, the top 10 have medical or therapists in there for a lot of these.
So look, there's one that I totally agree with. This texter says, well, AI can't be a mom or a grandma. Those jobs are crucial to furthering the race. I'm like, absolutely, you can't outsource being a mom.
That's the best.
Matt says HVAC techs, concrete finishers, and this texter says it was the same Claudia Wright.
Yeah. Oh, good. All right.
Wow.
Thanks, Claudia.
Okay.
So who's you can have HVAC? Yeah, I think that's probably true.
We've got another texter, and they say this: I own Pet Passages, Dignified Pet Cremation in Kaysville. AI definitely will not take my job away. So I'm looking also at a CNBC article, and they only list 10. The very first one they list actually is firefighters, and so when I say there are AI components, I think there are. Right? Because you could potentially have drones do some firefighting. We certainly have drones that are mapping the outside acreage so that we get an idea that way. But it is humans on the ground, right? And in the sky also who are fighting these fires.
Well, I think that if you think of a career like firefighters, and there are many more, law enforcement and that type of thing, where artificial intelligence just couldn't make the on-the-spot decisions that you would have to make, because if you're analyzing everything, you don't work from the heart or from your experience necessarily.
So airline pilots, co-pilots, and flight engineers, those are number 2. Number 3, manufactured building and mobile home installers, which is interesting to me. So they say in this list that the key abilities there are strength, stamina, reaction time, and problem sensitivity on variable job sites. But one of the categories that's so interesting that they're listing as AI proof has to do with tree trimming and pruning and tree fallers, people who make the trees fall down in logging. And I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I could see where like maybe you could program a robot to be able to detect how to safely cut a tree. But I don't know. That's on the list.
Yeah, and it's one of the top 10. I mean, we're looking at two different lists, but mine's got 65 and yours is the top 10. But I mean, there's a significant overlap.
There is.
Athletic trainers, physical therapists, occupational therapists, art therapists, music therapists. I mean,
yes, and yet AI is starting to do therapy jobs, right? And I think it comes with problems because AI can only be as good as the humans who programmed it. So you already have the even unconscious bias programmed into that. Look, we have another texter who says the movie Mercy has an AI judge. Twilight Zone. Oh, this is Rick. He said, let's see AI do road construction or build a house. And then he says, in Twilight Zone in 1961, did an episode of a robot grandmother titled I Sing the Body Electric. Stop it. I do not want to be replaced as a grandma.
AI build a road or build a house.
Right.
Absolutely.
Another texter, flatbed truck drivers are safe from AI. Right. What about structural iron and steel workers? That's on my list.
Yeah.
It would seem like that's important, right?
Right.
Derrick operators, so oil and gas. Although, again, I can see some application where you may be able to use some kind of drone or something, right? But I think it's interesting. Fishing and hunting workers, so spatial orientation, those types of things. I think there's a lot of different things where we can say, look, we may be able to use AI. We may be able to use, some sort of enhanced technology to make our jobs better. I think it would be interesting. Can they replace radio talk show hosts?
We're not on the list.
I don't know.
Attorneys are nowhere to be found either. Which it's got me thinking a little bit because, my wife and I were trying to figure out how to do some planning with the, writing wills and trusts and deeds.
All kinds of AI with that.
Said, yeah, let's go to AI. I'm like, usually I just call an attorney friend of mine.
So Matt, one of our texters, says, how about a lifeguard? Absolutely. How can you replace a lifeguard with AI? I don't think you can do it. You can enhance if you've got a drone, right? Maybe they can tell you where the person is.
Ski patroller. My
absolutely.
other job, yeah. How you can do that?
Orchestra members must be human. Although I know people are using AI to create music, but it's not the same.
But would you go to an AI? I mean, you might as well just plug in your stereo. I love going to the symphony to watch the performance and to listen to the individuals and
any live performances, right? You're not going to go watch some robot sing you a concert.
Right, yeah. Hopefully.
Well, again, you can use technology to enhance some of those. But I do think that there are AI-proof jobs, and a lot of them do have they're centered in the trades, which I also think is great. I've got a son, I think I've told you this, he's working on becoming a master electrician. And that job, while I can anticipate a day where maybe there's a way to use technology to enhance what needs to be done, there's no substitute for having a human double check and do the safety stuff.
You know what's not on the list are food preparation chefs. I would think should be on the list.
Interesting.
To cut, prepare, to...
Well, you have machines you can run stuff through for dicing. But you're right. Matt, who said the lifeguard, he also says Baywatch actresses. Okay, fair. Okay, that's fair.
Good point, Matt.
Okay.
Well, I think we're all safe at least for a while. I mean, our contract here is going to go for a couple more years. So I think we're going to be in good shape, I hope.
Well, wouldn't it be interesting if talk show was replaced by AI, robot voices?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're real, by the way.
We are real. Some students along the Wasatch Front are heading back to the classroom tomorrow. We've talked a lot about AI in classrooms too. But that means there will be more kids on the road early in the morning and in the middle of the afternoon. So back to school with Inside Sources. We're going to talk about school zone and bus safety. And I'm telling you, be careful. Thank you.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. It's almost time for Utah kids to head back to school. The Granite and Iron County school districts welcome their students back tomorrow, and the Beaver County and Washington County school districts resume class on Thursday. Washington County School District spokesperson Stephen Dunham tells KSL a big focus for them this year is cutting down on school lunch debt by helping parents get the assistance they need.
The cost of living down here is quite high. We've seen inflation go up. We recognize that times are hard, or you may have a short-term crisis in your family. There are resources available here within our community to help. We just need you to let us know.
7th graders in the Murray City School District go back to class on Friday. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Doctors are pushing back against the Trump administration's attempt to limit the number of childhood vaccinations.
The president now calling for fewer childhood vaccines, recommending that children be vaccinated against 11 diseases. That's down from the previous 18 recommended by the CDC. And central to the president's plan is splitting up the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine into 3 separate shots, even though individual shots are currently not available here in the U.S. and despite the fact that we are now in the middle of the largest measles outbreak in decades.
ABC's Mary Bruce reporting. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is down 76 points. We're at 53,899. Coming up hot today, but much cooler as we head toward the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Summer gave us vacations, backyard cookouts, afternoons by the pool, and memories we'll be talking about for years. But it also gave our homes muddy footprints, food spills, pet accidents, everything that comes with a summer well lived. Before everyone settles back into school and busy fall routines, give your home the summer send-off it deserves with Zero-Res carpet and air ducts cleaning. Using patented technology instead of sticky soaps or harsh chemicals, Zero-Res cleans carpets and air ducts the right way. That means carpets stay cleaner longer, dry in hours instead of days, and it's safe for kids, pets, and your HVAC system. Upgrade your 3-room special for free. You get a 4th room clean for free with your 3-room special when you use code UPGRADE. You'll also get 20% off air duct cleaning with code DUCT20. Keep the summer memories. Get rid of the summer messes with Zero-Res. Call 866-ZERO-RES or visit zerores.com. Spelled the same forwards or backwards. Zero-Res is the right way to clean.
Earlier this year, I decided I needed to go on a diet because the things I was trying on my own were not working. So I contacted SOTA Diet Nutrition because I wanted to do something based on diet, and I didn't want to go down the medical shots and injections route. So I thought, let's just see what I can do on my own. SOTA hooked me up with a nutritionist. She got in touch with me, and she was in touch with me quite weekly and had me do a food chart, which I followed closely. And she said, if you do this, you can probably lose 2 to 4 pounds a week. I lost 18 pounds in the first 4 weeks, and I lost almost exactly 30 after 7 weeks, which was my goal. That was back in April, and here we are 4 months later, and I've been able to keep the weight off by not doing much more than just following a straightforward diet, exercising, and doing the things I should have been doing all along. SOTA has been great. It's been wonderful for me, and it was a program that I wish I'd have got involved in 10 years earlier. SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Picture this. You pull into your driveway, and for the first time in a long time, you will love what you see. Beautiful new siding, bright, energy-efficient windows, gutters that protect your home year-round, and a deck that makes the backyard feel brand new. Not someday, not after one more year. With RGS Exteriors, the home you've been wanting can start today.
Hi, Tim Brown here, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
We do have a crash on northbound I-15. This is in Ogden. Delays start at 21st Street and reach all the way up to Pioneer Road. They are blocking a left lane there, so if you can get over to the right, that might help you out. It's pretty slow in that stretch. Otherwise, I-15 looking really good between Provo and Salt Lake. But we do have a crash on State Street in Murray just after 5900 South northbound. Looks like they're also blocking a left lane there, causing some extra congestion going north on State Street through Murray. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have a few isolated storms today with a high of 98, then the chance of rain increases. Tomorrow, 93. Thursday is our best chance of thunderstorms, and the high's only around 83 on Thursday. Right now, it's 88 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Back to school. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Was the day before school starts, and all through the town, not a creature was stirring, not even a kid. Well, okay, you get the point.
Yeah.
Most of the students in Granite School District head back to class tomorrow.
That's my school district. Anyway, they're the first district along the Wasatch Front heading back to school. And over the next few weeks, hundreds of thousands of kids will be back on the road, walking, biking, or busing to school each morning.
On our Back to School segments today, we want to talk about school zone and school bus safety, both for your kids and for drivers. We're going to start with talking about safety for kids. And we have with us Benjamin Donner, the Executive Director of American Red Cross Central and Southern Utah Chapter. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. Excited to be here.
Great. So we know that schools are getting ready to go back. Some start tomorrow. A lot start next week. What is your very, top most important tip you want to say about back to school safety?
The most important thing right out of the gate is making sure that parents have that conversation with the kids. Take the time now, sit down with them, talk about being around school buses, being out in on public roads, etc. Take the time. Parents know each child, right? Talk to them in language that they understand to bring it to their mind before they actually get there. So today, perfect day to do that. And then we obviously have some ideas of what to say there, but that's the biggest thing. Take the time to sit with each of the kids and really have that conversation before they're in that situation.
And Benjamin, it seems like what we learned early on, which is use a crosswalk when it's available. Look both ways, yes. Twice. And they're sort of the basics, but those are things that maybe we take for granted now, and that some kids and maybe some parents who are instructing their kids don't seem to recognize can really make a big difference.
100%. I was thinking about my own children. This is the first year where my kids are not going back to school. They've now graduated. But I think about, oftentimes we as adults assume that our kids remember. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about it over and over. Don't make that assumption. Say it again, bring it up again, that repetition. And I know with my own children, I had to bring it up, that those things that I assumed my kids would just automatically think, they don't. Mm-hmm. And it's better to say it a second time, a third time, a fourth time, and be safe than not.
Yeah. So look, I'm looking at some of the tips that you have from the Red Cross, including standing at least 10 feet or 5 giant steps from the curb while waiting for the school bus. Right? I mean, yes. even something like that is saying, where do you wait? It's not right on the very edge of the curb. It's not just into the street in the gutter, right? You're going to be back a little ways, especially these younger kids, right? That's where I get the most concerned. And yet I also see on here that if kids are wearing, for example, earbuds, you got to take one out so you can hear what's happening around you.
That's so important, because our kids get so fixated on YouTube and other things on their devices that sometimes that becomes the most thing in their world, and that social awareness of what's going on around them isn't always there. So removing one earbud for my own kids, I said, hey, while you're waiting there when that school bus is arriving, take the earbuds out. I know the tip is take at least one out. As a parent, I told my kids, take it out. When you're out, if you're riding your scooter or something going somewhere, remove that so you don't have the distraction. And that may be too much control, but for my kids, that's what I have told them.
When kids who live closer to the school than they are required to ride a bus or walking to school, especially in the morning when it's not as light as it could be, what kind of advice do you give parents in terms of what kids should be wearing? Or is there something that you can just tell the kid, just at least till you get to school, wear this?
Oh yeah, having some kind of reflection. Many backpacks have that on them. Some clothing does. I know we had that on our kids' clothes. But just making sure that you're visible, that don't assume that vehicles and others can see you.
Mm-hmm.
Go out of your way to make sure that they can. Wear lighter color clothes, etc. And there's a lot to think about, but the idea is just making sure that you're doing everything you can, that your kids can be seen. And as long as they're reflective, something that draws attention, then that lowers that risk of an accident.
What about for kids who might either ride a bike and I don't know, maybe use an electric scooter? What tips do you have for kids who are doing that?
Well, and this goes back to assumptions again. With my own kids, I assumed my kids knew the rules of the road, etc. And even though we've talked about it, reinforcing that on which side of the road do you go? Are you on the sidewalk? Are you not on the sidewalk? Depending on the age and whatever the child is using there. Those are things that, not to make an assumption that they're automatically going to remember. And going through those steps each school year, reminding them, and I would even say doing that throughout the school year. Make sure you always wear your helmet. Make sure that you're in a safe place, that you're not riding out into traffic, etc. All of those things are so critically important to say time and time again. I know many times I'd hear, "Dad, I know," and I'm like, "I'm so happy you know, but I'm going to say it again because I don't want you to forget."
Right?
Really?
Yeah.
You talked about buses, and we don't have a lot of time left, but kids getting on and off the bus and riding the bus, because we don't have, seat belts necessarily. I don't know, unless they've changed the rules. But what do you tell parents when they're instructing their kids about, especially young kids who maybe haven't ridden buses before?
Well, buses are big, right? Their visibility is not always the best. And so making sure the tips and tricks that we tell parents, if your child drops something around a bus, don't just immediately go and grab it. Even if the bus is sitting still, talk to the bus driver before you do that. Bus drivers, I will say, both of my kids, they would ride buses, and they really, I would say, bus drivers really get to know their kids, who's getting on, and they almost have that more personal relationship by name. And I would tell my son, especially, if you drop anything, talk to the bus driver. Let them know. Make sure I love, sometimes we say, stay 10 feet back. And I know you mentioned this a moment ago. Kids don't know how far is 10 feet.
Right.
5 big steps. That's perfect. Use that type of terminology with them, and it's something that they can understand and remember. Just don't put yourself in front of that bus, and don't assume cars are going to stop. That's one of my pet peeves when those lights are going of anything. Stop your car. Be aware. They don't always.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that kids are aware on that.
All right. That was
Thanks
helpful
so much.
information. That was Benjamin Donner, Executive Director of the American Red Cross Central and Southern Utah Chapter, joining us this morning. And I think, school starting, he said Granite School Districts.
And I think Iron
this
County
week,
also.
Other schools starting. And within the next week or two, virtually every school in the state is going to be starting. Well, let's go a little bit more in depth on what drivers need to know as school starts to back up this next few weeks. We'll chat with the Utah Highway Patrol Safety Office after this break. Stay with us.
Isn't it something, the homes that they built in the state of Utah years ago that would have beautiful views because they're facing the mountains, but the whole side of the house facing the mountains has like 2 or 3 small little windows. And I think, why don't you want to see that magnificent view? We can fix that. Peach Windows and Doors. Peach Windows and Doors can put in larger windows that will bring in more of the beauty of the view outside your home. It'll make your home feel so much newer and more beautiful, just changing out those windows with custom windows. Of course, it will help your energy bills because they can do triple pane windows that are so much more energy efficient. But you know, one thing people don't realize is how much it cuts back on noise. Do you hear every car, every lawnmower, every dog barking? You'll be blown away at how much quieter and more peaceful it is inside your home once you get new windows from Peach Windows and Doors. They even have payment options that'll make your project happen sooner rather than later. I recommend stopping by the showroom because you can really see all the options at 2940 South 3rd West, or go online to peachwindowsanddoors.com.
Salt Lake City, get ready for a brand new summer tradition. Join thousands at the Utah State Capitol on Saturday, August 22nd for the inaugural Capitol 5. Choose a scenic 5-mile run or a fun 1-mile Capitol walk. Then stick around for the Capitol Festival featuring live music, food trucks, family activities, and local vendors. Plus, don't miss the spectacular opening ceremony with a massive American flag unfurling over the Capitol grounds. Run, walk, celebrate. Register today at thecapital5.com.
Right now, UCCU is offering short-term savings options with incredibly high yields. Simply make a deposit, then watch your savings grow with a fixed rate of return that's much higher than a savings account. UCCU also has great offers on jump-up options. So if rates continue to rise, you can jump up your rate and earn even more. Visit uccu.com to learn more and supercharge your savings today. UCCU. Love where you bank.
I'm Walker Kessler, and I play basketball for a living. So I know how important it is to have the support of a team you can trust. That's why I love UCCU. UCCU is more than a credit union. They're a true financial partner, a local team of experts your entire family can trust at every step of your financial journey. Just visit uccu.com and elevate your banking experience.
Join KSL and the Movie Show crew this Friday from 10 to 1 at My Hearing Centers. Learn how to get a no-cost hearing evaluation.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they helped me. They calmed me down. They made me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke. Sudden weakness on one side or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
and expanded Inside Sources.
Well, it's back to school with Inside Sources, and we're continuing our deep dive this morning on school zone and bus safety.
So the last segment, we talked mostly about the students and what your kids should know as they prepare to head back to class. But this segment, we want to talk about you, the drivers. And I have to say this, please do not be stupid. And don't go around the school buses when they have the red stop sign out. I see it every year. Don't do it.
Just sends chills up your spine. And it seems like common sense, but just pay attention. Slow down around schools. There's those 20-mile-an-hour zones are there for a reason. Stop for the buses. And just follow the rules. It's real easy. I know you're in a hurry to get to work. I'm in a hurry to get to work. But when the bus stops...
Well, you're not more important than a kid's life.
Exactly right.
So we have with us Jason Metman, Communications Manager for the Utah Highway Safety Office. Thanks for joining us, Jason.
Yeah, good morning, guys. And thanks for that good advice. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, yeah, look, it does seem like common sense, right? And I wonder if you could just remind us of the rules of stopping when the school bus has the red stop sign out. I know on the two-way, right, if it's just one lane one way and one way the other, you stop both directions. When does that change?
Well, so what I want drivers to think about is the entire situation that's going on around that bus when they put the stop arms out. When the bus comes to a complete stop, it's going to have those flashers on, reminding drivers that they need to slow and then stop for the stop arm when it's out. That's because kids are either boarding on or off the bus. There's going to be kids that are rushing to get to that bus stop. There may be pedestrians crossing to get to that bus stop. So drivers need to be aware of what's happening all around that bus, not just between you and that stop sign. And it's going to be so important to keep those pedestrians and those families safe that are getting those kids to the bus stop. So to enforce that, law enforcement is going to be out looking for drivers that are violating that rule, violating the flashing yellow or the stop on red stop arms. Even if you're in the opposite direction of traffic, you've got to stop for that stop arm every single time.
Great.
Jason, what do your troopers see or describe as the biggest problem when they're dealing with kids going back to school, especially in the first days or weeks when we're not maybe ready for that and we're not used to, I guess I should say, kids coming back to school? What are you hearing from your people on the road?
Well, in a third of these crashes that are happening on the roadway, it's a failure to yield the right-of-way. Oftentimes that's due to distractions. So I would call on those drivers to put your phones away, put that radio away, make sure that you are wholly focused on that task of driving. My kids start school tomorrow, and I want them to get to and from school safely. Please make sure that you're keeping your kids, my kids, and all of those other kids that are just trying to get to school and have a good day to start the year off and get them there safe. We can't enforce our way out of this problem. We've had 5 fatalities in the last 5 years dealing with school buses. So please make sure that you're watching for those and avoiding those crashes.
So, Jason, I live in Pleasant Grove, and it was just a little bit over a year ago that a 9-year-old was hit. He was on his way home from school. It wasn't a school bus, but it was literally steps from my front door, and just really, really awful, right, to have this situation where he is coming home from school and he is hit and killed by this happened to be an older driver, and I don't think he was paying attention as he turned a corner because this kid was in the crosswalk. So I feel like as a parent, I can't stress enough how important it is. And I think the legislature wanted to really give some teeth to passing school buses when they have the stop arm out. Do you want to talk about that briefly?
They did, yeah. Last year, there was new legislation that came up for that kind of had a stair-stepped penalty for passing the stop arm. It's a $1,000 fine for your first offense.
That's a lot.
It's a huge fine, and it's a $2,000 for your second and $3,000 for a third. These are serious fines for a serious issue. Avoiding that stop sign and not yielding to those pedestrians, those little kids that are getting on that bus, it's a big deal. The risk is so high. I will tell you that unfortunately here in Utah in 2026, we're up almost 50% on pedestrian fatalities this year. We've lost 35 pedestrians on our roadways this year, which is an astronomical number so far. Please make sure that you're not distracted and following those signs.
Wow.
And what about as motorists approach crosswalks where they see the crossing guards who are about to enter, or maybe the kids sort of halfway through the intersection? Like, at what point do you feel like a motorist should be safe proceeding through these areas?
Well, there are two ways to approach a crosswalk. If it's a school zone, you have to wait until all of the pedestrians are fully across the road, especially if there's a school zone that's in effect with the flashing lights or a crossing guard. The crosswalk has to be completely clear. Now, if you're on a regular crosswalk and it's not a school zone, you can then safely cross once the pedestrians are on the opposite direction of travel. So if they've crossed your side of the road, then you can pass if it's safe to do so. But best practice is going to make sure that those kids are safely across the road before you try and pass through.
So, Jason, I wanted to ask you for drivers also. I feel like for me, some of the scariest times are in the winter, and I know it's not winter, but when the roads are slick and I'm trying to stop and I can't as a driver, feeling like I'm coming up on a stop sign. What advice do you have for drivers maybe in icy conditions?
Well, one of the top three factors in these pedestrian crashes is following too closely. And that's a choice that you make on the road. Drivers need to make sure that they are giving themselves enough space to safely stop and react to changing things that are on the road. You know, it might not be somebody's soccer ball that's out on the road. It could be a child that's darting into the road. Kids just don't have that practice to be able to know the gap distance that's appropriate. So as drivers, we need to be aware that something could change real fast, and we need to be prepared to be able to make that stop safely.
All right, that was Jason Mettman, Communications Manager for Utah Highway Patrol Safety Office, joining us this morning. Jason, thanks so much for your tips.
Thanks again. Buckle up and drive safe.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I hope that the UHP is out. I hope that the city and the county people are out, because it drives me nuts when I see motorists fly through school zones.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I cringe every time I see a school bus in front of me stopped, because I know the kids are getting out on the right side, but you don't know when they're going to run around the front of the bus.
I know.
And they'll be seen at the last pop.
Yep.
I mean, I look at those kids, I go, please don't come around the front. Because, you know, and motorists, they cheat as much as they can. If they think, if I can squeeze by this bus before he or she flips that sign out, I can get there. But you know, it's just not worth it. And if you hit a kid, if you hurt a child because you were in a hurry to get to work, you would be living with that the rest of your life.
Yeah, I hope you would.
Right, and you would just be thinking, what was I doing that day that was so important that I was willing to risk somebody else's life for my 30-second benefit driving.
Yeah. I know that Jason said, you know, following a soccer ball. I think, you know, the younger the kids are, the less they have the ability to make that kind of logical, like, maybe I shouldn't do this. So again, parents, talk to your kids about not following things into the road, etc. But this safety, you mentioned having police officers out. I know that in my area, every year when school starts, there will be police cars by the schools, right? And I think it's a good reminder. It's like, oh yeah, I should slow down. Oh yeah, right? Because as you get used to not having that school zone speed limit during the summer, then it goes back on. I will tell you, there was one time where I went through a crosswalk unknowingly because it was a new crosswalk by a school that they had put in. I mean, I could see the hash marks, but it was a new time to have a crossing guard. She was not very happy with me. There was nobody in the crosswalk, but she was on the side trying to get people to stop, and I didn't stop. Right. And you know, I've never made that mistake again. Yeah. But that really speaks to the pay attention, know what's going on, even if it's a new school zone or a new area, and even the crossing guards. I will say that even they kind of put their lives on the line, and there are stories every year where a crossing guard in Utah is struck and hurt or killed by a car.
And even before you get to the school zone, if you're in a neighborhood, just keep your speed down. I mean, people fly through our neighborhood. It drives me nuts. But when kids are walking to school, you got to keep it under 25. Just go drive safely, even if you're not in the school zone.
Yeah, that was our back to school topics for today.
Yeah.
And in the next hour of Inside Sources, we're going to talk about how incoming data centers might affect your property taxes. We're going to go in depth with KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera with some new insights about a boomerang effect in rising and lowering property taxes for places around data centers. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Kenna Rodriguez, KSL's top story this hour. Lightning in the forecast could prove dangerous for fire conditions, but we now have a new aircraft that can help detect lightning strikes early. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson has more.
It's a multi-mission aircraft that acts as an air attack platform, but it also has lightning detection abilities. Utah Fire Info Prevention and Communications Specialist Kelly Wickens explains how it works.
If we've had a storm go through, aircraft receives the information where the lightning strikes have occurred. And then as they're flying over, they can see where the lightning strikes were and then be able to detect them quicker that way.
And this multi-mission aircraft is new to Utah this year. They plan on deploying it this week since we have storms in the forecast to hopefully find the lightning strike fires and put them out before they become a problem. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News, Americans' credit card debt has reached a shockingly high number. Many of them are behind on payments and are refinancing mortgages to help.
We owe more, and we're not paying our bills on time. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York says Americans now owe $1.26 trillion on credit cards, and 12% of us are delinquent in paying even the minimum amount. The high cost of gas, groceries, and household items all contributing. One thing helping those lucky enough to own a home, equity. More people are tapping into that, figuring a refinanced mortgage at a little over 6.5% makes more sense than a credit card balance of 23%. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 85 points right now. Coming up, more warm weather on the books today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I want to extend an invitation to stop hiding in the back of photos. I know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
How long can you hold your breath for the photo before you finally have to let it out?
Yeah.
You don't have to do that anymore once you go through Soda Diet and Nutrition, because they will change how you look. I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months.
And I let go of 37 pounds in 3 months. And I remember when I used to wear jackets even in 100 degrees in the summer because I wanted something to cover my waist. Do you know how fun it is to be able to tuck a T-shirt in? This is the simple things in life. Tucking a shirt, wearing shorts, and not feeling self-conscious is awesome.
Putting a belt on that goes right below your belly button where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was possible. And then it was because of Soda Diet and Nutrition.
Right now, you can get 4 weeks for free by calling 866-800-SODA and just mentioning KSL.
But the time's running out to take advantage of this, so call 866-800-SODA, mention KSL, and get 4 weeks free because Soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
It's still northbound I-15, our biggest issue in Ogden, starting at 21st Street, reaching up to Pioneer Road. There's a crash, and it's blocking a left lane. They've had it on again, off again, closed so that they could get a tow truck in there, and it looks like they are looking to be in the final stages of cleanup. Otherwise, you're looking pretty good in the midday. No major slowdowns on I-15 through Davis, Salt Lake, and Utah counties. But you do have slowdowns in the usual places. Eastbound 2100 North in Lehigh approaching I-15, and eastbound Corey Ride Highway approaching Mountain View Corridor. Since 1913, UMB Bank has stood beside businesses, understanding what's at stake. Banking is a relationship built to last. Visit umb.com. Bank deposit products provided by UMB Bank, N.A. member FDIC. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
The warm weather continues today with a high of 98 degrees, and skies are partly cloudy with possible isolated storms later in the day. Right now it's mostly cloudy skies and 88 degrees. I'm McKenna Rodriguez from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The data center discussions never stop. We've talked a lot about potential energy and resource impacts, but what about taxes? How might property taxes change due to data center expansions?
Yeah, maybe a little different than you think, but some new research from the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute finds that Utah's growing data center industry could have some surprising impact on your property taxes.
So they say that when a massive data center moves into a community, that homeowners could see their property taxes drop at first, but then as billions of dollars worth of computer equipment loses value, those rates can start creeping back up.
Yeah, the process is what researchers are calling the boomerang effect. Of course, it makes perfect sense, and it could have some significant impact on Utah's smaller communities. If you think about it, Holly, a smaller community like the one in Brigham City,
right?
Box Elder County,
right?
That their property tax base is limited because of a limited population. What a data center could do in some community like that could be really significant, up and down.
So KSL News Radio reporter Eric Cabrera spoke with the researcher behind the study. He joins us now to break down what this could actually mean for Utah homeowners. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Holly, Greg, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Eric, this sounds pretty complicated. What did you learn about how this actually works?
Exactly, Greg. So I just want to say this disclaimer first, right? I know this is called Inside Sources and there's a reason for that, right? But I am not a property tax expert. I just want to put that out there, right? But what I am is a homeowner, right? I pay property taxes like a lot of our listeners probably do. And when I saw this study, kind of my first thought was like, okay, forget all the tax terminology, right? For a second.
Yeah.
What could this actually mean for someone like me, right? Yeah. And I had a really good convo with Maddie Orich. She's actually the director of public finance research at the Gardner Institute, one of the authors of this study. And the easiest way I came to understand it is that a data center isn't just a really expensive building, right? It's a huge amount of value that's inside, right? That's sitting inside. We're talking about servers, GPUs, chips, all the computer equipment. And so in Utah, I learned through talking to her, right, that distinction really matters because our property tax system actually treats the building and the equipment differently. And so, I brought this first bite I want to play, right, which we had Maddie walk us through what happens, right, when all of that value suddenly shows up in the community.
So if a big data center comes in, most of their value is in what we call personal property. So that's the chips, the high value computer equipment that goes inside the data center. And so a big data center with a lot of value in their personal property comes into a community, that's likely going to drop the certified tax rate in that first year because the value goes up. And so then the rate adjusts down. So taxpayers in that area are likely to see a drop in their property tax rate in that first year.
So I just have to tell you this, Eric. I did my PhD program. Maddie was part of the classes as we moved through that program. And so it's a small world in Utah. So
I love this so much. Look at that.
I know, it's really fun. So I was understanding, I was remembering conversations that we have had before about property tax, and it's like water, like it equalizes, right? It has to stabilize. And so when you have something that comes in that's so big and they are now going to pay this bigger share, your percentage as a homeowner could go down. But then what can happen?
Right. And so that's kind of why, right, the next question we asked, which was, why do they think this lower tax rate won't last, right?
Yeah.
And that's because, like what we just mentioned, right, we're talking about computers, we're talking about technology. Think of it maybe in the way I kind of brought this up to Maddie, right, which was the way I think about it maybe in the simplest form is like your phone, right, or your laptop, and tech gets old pretty quickly. Now scale that up, right, to a data center with potentially $1 billion or more worth of computers and servers, right? They looked at that, right, at the state's depreciation schedule. Excuse me, that's a hard word. In their example, $1 billion worth of GPUs starts at $1 billion in taxable value, and then the next year it's like 620 million, then 460 million, and it keeps going down, right? So you can see how quickly that tax base changes, and that's where they get the term boomerang effect, like Greg said, right? So when all that equipment first arrives, the added value can help push the tax rate down, and then as that depreciates, the rate can start creeping back up to keep revenue neutral, and then eventually the data center buys new equipment, and then the value can jump up again. So this isn't necessarily, right, to me, a story about your taxes permanently going down or permanently going up. It's really about volatility and who's carrying what portion, right, of the tax burden from year to year.
Yeah, I think it introduces, well, you just said volatility, but also uncertainty, right? Especially if you're a homeowner. But we also know, we've talked about this before, smaller communities where they're thinking about putting these big data centers. What kind of effects can they have on those? Because it seems like it almost would be outsized.
Right. No, totally. And this is where, some of that question I really want to answer, because otherwise we're talking about, right, billions of dollars in certified tax rates, and I think people's eyes start glazing over. so I asked Maddie, give me a house, right? Give me a data center. What could actually, somebody actually see? And Gartner did model that. One important caveat I want to say before we roll this next bite, Rich, is, this is a hypothetical example, right?
Sure.
They're not saying this is what will happen to somebody's house in Salt Lake County or Utah County, but the example does show how big the effect potentially could be in a smaller community.
A $2 billion data center locating in a theoretical county with a small property tax base could lead to a drop in that first year, maybe even about $500 for a property owner with a median priced home, so about a $500,000 home. That could be a drop of about 20% in that first year on their property taxes, and then it would creep back up. If that data center we're going to be locating in a more mid-sized county, a mid-sized property tax base, that effect would likely be in the 8 to 10% range in that first year, so maybe only a couple $100.
And once again, these are models, not predictions, but it shows where you build, right? One of these things really matters.
Right. Yeah. So what are they saying that they could potentially be bad for Utah taxpayers?
Right. So, I think that's one thing, right? Which is, I don't think they're saying that, right? I don't think that was even the purpose of the study. She did, Maddie did say there are major concerns, right? Obviously people have questions about the energy usage, regenerating energy, things like that. I think what she wanted to convey about this study was that they're not saying data centers are going to raise your taxes, therefore don't build them. They're also not saying, build a data center and everybody gets a tax cut. I think it's that every project is a little bit different, right? And that communities need to understand the fiscal consequences, right, before making these decisions. And I thought, Maddie summed it up really well in this third bite that I brought, if we have time real quick, that I asked, what local leaders should be considering.
The size of the data center is going to matter. Where it's locating is going to matter. The size of that existing property tax base, that's going to have an effect on what existing property owners feel. I think there are obviously the environmental questions, and I can't speak to those specifically, but there are questions around water usage, right? And energy usage, and if they're going to generate their own electricity, and if that's going to have an impact on people in that community as well in terms of energy rates. And what we're trying to get at in this report is that every single data center decision should be weighed carefully, and the fiscal benefits and the fiscal drawbacks should be weighed by those local decision makers, and there are going to be nuances in every single case.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for your good information for us today, good and bad for the data centers. That was KSL News Radio reporter Eric Cabrera.
Thanks, Eric.
When we come back after the break, let's keep this conversation going about data centers. Remember, the Military Installation Development Authority approved the Boxelder data center in Boxelder County. Well, it was a controversial one, and now a Utah state representative is proposing some limits on what MIDA, the Military Installation Development Authority, can do. We'll talk about what that means when we come back.
Thinking about replacing your windows? Choose the company that builds and installs them right here in Utah. Advanced Window Products is Utah's local window and door manufacturer that sells directly to homeowners. Hi, I'm Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sac Lake City with Advanced Window Products. At Advanced Window Products, there are no dealer fees, no middleman markups, and no extra costs to cover someone else's profit. From manufacturing to installation, every step is handled by Advanced Window Products' local team. Every window is custom built in Salt Lake City for Utah's homes and backed by one of the strongest warranties in the industry, a lifetime warranty covering labor, glass, and parts. Even better, it's fully transferable to the next homeowner. Right now, get $2,000 off when you purchase 10 or more windows. Financing is available, and Dominion Energy rebates may help you save even more. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or visit us at advancedwindows.com. That's 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-330-8323 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-330-8323. That's 800-330-8323. What do you have to lose? Call 800-330-8323. Again, 800-330-8323.
Hey, do you ever miss a segment of Inside Sources or want to rehear a conversation you particularly liked? Subscribe to the Inside Sources podcast. We upload each segment and the full show every weekday afternoon. Go to kslpodcast.com or follow us wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Doug.
Hot dog! Get your hot dog!
Customize and save with Liberty Mutual.
Hey, what are you doing?
I like your method. Direct. To the point. A little loud, but...
Listen, people don't buy car insurance the same way they do hot dogs.
Not yet, but both are customizable.
Popcorn! Get your popcorn!
Hey, this is a hot dog area.
And customize and save area. Get a quote at libertymutual.com or with your local agent.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and as we move into August, I can't help but look back into July. That's where we celebrated Dee's birthday, which, by the way, is a month-long celebration. We call it the Dee Fest. We had every adult in the family there at Ruth's Chris in downtown Salt Lake City at 275 Southwest Temple, and it was just a delight. The atmosphere, the service, and, of course, the food. Incredible. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You can always count on Ruth's Chris. And then, of course, Hotel Park City is a wonderful place, especially at this time of year when it's so hot down in the valley, to head up into the mountains and enjoy that perfect meal. Let everybody else do the work. And you and your family, you and your friends, just kick back and enjoy the perfect meal. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, 275 Southwest Temple in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City, or up in our beautiful Utah mountains at Hotel Park City. It's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Why settle for a basic night out when all tickets for Utah Symphony and Utah Opera performances are now on sale? And for a very limited time, premium main floor seats to most performances are $29 or less. Enjoy splurge-worthy nights without the splurge with events like Rossini's Cinderella with the Utah Opera, Hocus Pocus in concert, and Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony. Don't wait. Prices go up after August 15th. More at usuo.org/August.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So you might recall that here in Utah, our data center issues really came to a head several months ago with the proposed facility in Box Elder County. And in that case, Holly, the center was approved by a group that I hadn't heard of before,
Right.
the Military Installation Development Authority, or MIDA.
Right. And so a freshman lawmaker on Utah's Capitol Hill, although he's not new to the political arena, wants to turn back the clock on what MIDA can and can't do. So this could be setting up a really interesting battle, maybe.
Yeah. So what is it that he is trying to do here so that
So-
we can maybe look at these cases before
So
they get too far down the road?
This is Representative Jason Thompson. He's in Cache County, and he has previously served as the mayor of River Heights, Utah. So he's not new to this. He also has an MPA, which I think is great, Masters of Public Administration. And what he is proposing is that MIDA, which is, as you might get from the name military installation, is supposed to be overseeing military projects. So they currently have 7 in the state right now. But what Representative Thompson is proposing is to say, look, they have started creeping, like they are expanding what they're trying to oversee, like the data center in Box Elder County. And he said what he wants to do is propose legislation that would limit MIDA's land use authority to projects located within 5 miles of a military installation, and only when those projects are directly related to military training, operational readiness, or the security of military facilities.
I thought it was interesting when we started this, when I heard about MIDA, because I thought, okay, it's a data center for artificial intelligence to try to get as much information as possible. Why are they getting so much push? Why are they getting so much power to just come into a community? And then I realized they put it under this blanket of military. Well, of course, the
So
military
you just say
installation.
national security.
Yeah, it's like you're putting in a military installation in the middle of your community.
Yeah.
Well, now, boy, it takes on a whole new role. It takes, the government gets behind it more. The community's like, well, wait a minute, this is national security we're talking about. This is we're with the potential war against China. We don't want to get behind them in artificial intelligence war. And so let's get this going. It makes perfect sense that we reel them in a little bit and say, look, if you're a military installation, let's put you attached to a military installation.
You can't just go as big and broad as you want, right? And I think that's what he's saying. He said, look, additionally, recreational developments and AI data center projects would not qualify unless the land and facilities are entirely owned by the federal government. And so we know the one in Box Elder County, it's not a federally owned one. It is one that's being pushed by Kevin O'Leary. Right. So I think that's really interesting. And I think it's a good conversation. So, again, we've talked about next week is interim week. I don't know if he's introducing draft legislation that early or if it's just part of the conversation getting going as we head into the 2027 legislative session. But he's, I think, got some good ideas here. And I think for the public to say, like you said, all of a sudden, here comes this group out of the blue, and they seem to have unlimited authority and a really big budget.
And when you bring something to the fore and say, boy, this is for military, this is for security, this is a military installation, this is to protect us from a war, even if it's an AI war, then the public is like, well, we need to get behind it. But that's
Sometimes.
That's kind of not what it was if you really look at it at its core.
And there was just such a big backlash. So that article, I saw that article today in Cache Valley Daily. And again, something I look at when I am doing my Utah Policy newsletter. But another one was in the Deseret News. And the headline is a data center vibe shift upon us? And then saying the subhead is an open-minded wave regarding data centers online. Look, I don't think that the public is now changing their mind and embracing data centers. I think what's happening is a PR campaign. That's what I think is happening.
I think it's just the opposite. I think we've been putting up data centers for years, and people like me were asleep at the wheel and didn't realize it was happening.
Right.
And suddenly we get a big one that purports to take 40,000 acres and, increase our energy usage in the state by 2 and say, let's just put it in. And so people like me are going, wait a minute. Is that really what these data centers are about? Because for all I know, I have one in my neighborhood. I don't, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm surprised. Yeah, that's right. I'm surprised at how many there are, and they've been innocuous, and except some communities say they make a little noise, but they're certainly necessary, and I understand that. But when we get these behemoth ones that take over a county almost, maybe we do need to take a step back.
Well, I think that that's what's actually happening. But what I'm saying is,
I know
this article is saying, oh, look, the sentiment is shifting more positively. No, I think that's just a result of some PR. So Kevin O'Leary has apologized for poor messaging, right? And he's also apologized, and that there's legal action now. He's apologized for saying that particular people and organizations were agents of the Chinese government. But I think there's a PR push on the side of data centers to say, we're not that bad. Look, we're good neighbors. We can help rural America. That's what I think is happening. I don't think America is shifting their vibe. America is pretty up in arms. I'd say generally across the board when we see the most recent polling, it's over 70%, whether it's in Utah or nationally, over 70% of people say they are opposed to data centers, especially in areas where there's not a lot of water.
And the Stratos one, the one in Box Elder County, I think it did no favors for the data center community coming into an area, because that director basically said, we've already approved this. This is going to be built. Why are you guys standing in the way? And even our own governor at some point said, hey, wait a minute, we
don't stand in the way of progress.
Don't stand in the way of progress. Well, the citizens didn't take that lightly at all. And it wasn't radical groups from China or liberal tree huggers from wherever. It was citizens of Box Elder County and the surrounding communities going, can we just talk about this first? Can we get some plans and find out why you're doing this, or why it is as big as it is, and why this particular swath of land was so important in the middle of a drought, in the middle of a desert? I think that they pushed that so hard and gave us the impression, and the county commissioners were very good with this, but they kind of just let it roll over them too a little bit up there.
And 2 of them lost their re-election.
Yeah, probably because of that.
And so did the president of the Senate, right? And I think you can tie it directly to the pushback on data centers. That and feeling like when people have really big concerns and it feels like they're being glossed over, or they're not being heard, or that if you only understood more, that comes across as very condescending, and then people don't want to hear what you have to say about potential positive benefits. So I think people who are pushing you're going to get better property tax benefits. In fact, Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running for governor in Ohio, he promised people that their property taxes would go down. But I will trust the research more than I'm going to trust a politician making promises.
Well, and Eric Cabrera just told us why.
I know. That's exactly why.
The property taxes do go down.
Yeah, because
for a year or 2, and then they bounce
and then they go back up.
Right. Yeah. It's the boomerang effect. Yeah, that you can say, boy, you bring any big business into a community, and it's going to affect the tax rate, because that business is going to eat up some of those tax. They're going to pay some of those tax dollars, and so
But then there's tax incentives, and then there's anyway. Yes, are there people who are pro data center? Yeah, absolutely there are. Are there people who say, I am willing to use data and data centers, but I have some concerns with what's happening right there. Yes. And I think it's maybe a little bit of misinformation and a PR campaign to say, hey, people are changing their minds and now they're pro data center. I would say we were agnostic or pro beforehand.
Right.
And now that we are learning more, like we talked about the data centers in Virginia where there's 250 something, and they're saying, maybe know what you're getting into before you get started down this road, Utah.
Yeah, and the folks behind Stratos didn't help themselves either by saying, we're building this anyway, folks.
I know.
We got this. I think they're still taking that position, even though at least they're trying to put the brakes on it. Some folks are.
I think that level, it comes across as arrogance to say, we don't care what you say, we're doing it anyway.
Yep, yeah.
All right. Well, coming up on Inside Sources, this story makes me wonder if Hegseth and President Trump have a little bit of Tom Cruise in him. But people are talking about it today because on the president's journey back from Turkey, the country, he pulled a stunt. He ended up on a different plane, unbeknownst to just about everyone. And we're going to talk about that after news, traffic, and weather.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top local story this hour. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is calling for even more volunteers to help with the open house for the Salt Lake Temple.
I just love people, so I talk to everyone.
I just want to help. The cars aren't going to park themselves.
Church Newsroom says people from a variety of backgrounds, faiths, talents, and experience levels are encouraged to participate. The open house is scheduled to run from April 5th to October 1st next year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The University of Michigan doesn't want freshmen in their first semester to worry about grades, so they're trying a different method of grading.
It's pass or fail. That's it. No letter grades at all. It's something new the university is trying to help curb the mental health crisis some college-aged individuals are experiencing. The school says it will help freshmen acclimate to the demands of college. And it will do something about grade inflation. One former political science professor tells the Wall Street Journal grades have lost their value as an indication of quality or excellence. In 2022, 74% of all undergraduate grades were at an A level. 10 years ago, it was just 57% of undergrads. Another hope is that the pass or fail grades will make students work a little harder. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got red across the board right now. The Dow Jones is down 94 points. That's nearly 0.2%. The S&P 500 is down 21 points. That's nearly 0.25%. And the NASDAQ is down 156 points. That is 0.6%. Oil, on the other hand, is up nearly $1. Coming up, we're heading to a cool-off, finally. KSL weather is next. KSL's news time is 11:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
One of the best things about Utah is sharing the outdoors with the people you love. Teaching your kids to fish, taking the family on their first real hike, camping under a sky full of stars. But when you're responsible for little ones, or anyone who depends on you, outdoor safety isn't optional. It's essential. Make sure everyone has enough water. Pack layers for changing weather. Choose trails that match your group's ability, not just your own. And always, always tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back. Because the best family adventures are the ones where everyone comes home with a great story and nothing more than tired legs. Outdoor safety is a family responsibility. Learn more at rescue.utah.gov. That's rescue.utah.gov.
This is Colin Keary from the New Millennium Group. Have you ever had a question for your financial advisor only to find out that the next available appointment is months away? At New Millennium Group, we believe that financial advice should never be limited to once-a-year review meetings. Life happens every single day. Markets change, retirement questions come up, family situations evolve, and when they do, you deserve answers. That's why we pride ourselves at the New Millennium Group on being accessible when our clients need us most. Whether you're wondering about your investments or a major life decision, our team is here to help provide guidance. We're not interested in being the firm you hear from once a year. We want to be your trusted resource throughout your entire retirement journey. If you're looking for a financial team that values relationships, communication, and responsiveness, we'd love to meet you. Give us a call today at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or visit us at utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
I-15 looking clean and clear all across the Wasatch Front. In fact, all your major freeways not seeing any delays out of the ordinary. Just a little slow both directions on the 201 freeway in Magna between 8400 West and 7200 West. And in Utah County, eastbound 2100 North, the light scatter delays from Redwood Road over to I-15 and eastbound Corey Ride Highway at Mountain View Corridor. Regular congestion there as well. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, the high is going to be 98, but that's the last time we're going to scrape the hundreds for a while. Temperatures are going to drop into the 80s for most of the week until Monday when we hit a high of 90. Right now, though, it's 90 degrees and mostly cloudy. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So when we were talking about the story this morning, our producer Andy said it made him think of Mission Impossible. And, maybe it could have worked in Mission Impossible. I would say maybe James Bond. But I don't know if I'm that convinced.
No, but this is pretty cool, I have to admit. So this morning we're getting some details about a deception to protect President Trump from alleged Iranian threats. And if you recall, he was in Turkey for the NATO summit. The Washington Post has reported that when he left Turkey, the plane that everybody watched him board actually took off without him. Mm-hmm. Let's get the details of that from ABC News.
The Washington Post reporting President Trump quickly sneaked off the plane and into a catering truck before boarding a smaller, far less conspicuous military aircraft to begin the journey home. The president had flown to the NATO summit on the new Qatari-gifted aircraft. Then the Secret Service had decided to fly everyone home on the older blue and white model.
Yeah, that was ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz. And I think it's interesting. So what he did was, you got the Qatari Air Force One, you got the real Air Force One, and then you got this military jet.
Right.
And so let's kind of keep them in order here. So he gets on the Qatari jet looking like he's going to board that and leave, but he goes out the back door.
No, I thought it was the other way.
Okay,
I thought
the military, the Air Force One.
He got on the traditional, the traditional Air Force One.
Because, as you recall, there was some controversy about the Qatari one, that somebody had leaked.
It didn't have defensive capabilities.
It didn't have the same defensive abilities as Air Force One. He, of course, liked it because it's a lot more luxurious, and so he was upset that he couldn't ride on it. Well, he couldn't ride on either one because he went out the back door, got in a catering truck, probably grabbed a sandwich, and then they took him over to a military jet where he boarded that, and nobody saw him board, and he just took off. I'm sure it was a comfortable jet, but it wasn't Air Force One and it wasn't Qatari jet. He just flew, and he got to England, I think, and then he got back on the Qatari jet or one of them.
I think that's interesting, and I've heard that Pete Hegseth went with him, and so my first response was Pete Hegseth probably thought this would be really cool.
Well, I actually think it was. So I thought the same thing, to be honest with you. He's at a NATO summit in Turkey, and Iran has they've got posters all over the country that, his men Donald Trump needs to die.
Kill America, right? I mean, death to America.
And death to Trump. So, I think his life was under the gun, and I think people were concerned, and I think the military had every reason to do whatever they could to guard his identity because, let's face it, whether he's on the Qatari jet or Air Force One, those are big jets to be flying over your airspace.
Yeah.
And they're probably easy, slow targets for some, missile to hit.
Well,
so
probably not, but
doing that, I'm sure that they've got a fleet of other ships around them, jets around them, but still, I think it made perfect sense because then no matter what, nobody was going to figure out what jet he was on.
Yeah. So one of the things that's interesting to me is like very few people when you're talking about issues of national security like that, I would agree, right? The fewer people who know, the better. But the people on Air Force One that was designated Air Force One did not know that they were decoys.
I know that.
So
okay, that's a little unusual.
If you are White House staff, if you are the journalists who are the White House, you get the privilege of flying on Air Force One, and then you find out you're a decoy.
Right. Yeah.
I would have some anxiety about that.
That would be problematic. Yeah. Well, we think this jet's under threat.
Wait,
so
what?
We're not
You're
going to tell
shoot down
anybody
this
until
jet?
it's over. Even the pilots were probably going, "Hey, wait a minute. Why didn't you tell us?" And you probably had to wonder what the people that were on that jet, especially the media.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't know.
I know, but when they're flying, they're like, we want to talk to the president about what just happened at NATO. Where is he?
Sleeping.
He's in the back
taking
room.
A nap.
Yeah, he's in the restroom. It'll be a little while. So yeah, I mean, they never saw him. Nobody ever. But then they all go meet up in London or something and get things squared away. And he was really upset. And that's the irony is Trump was upset at somebody in his administration that had leaked information about the lack of defensive capabilities of the Qatari jet.
Mm-hmm.
And but it didn't even matter because he wasn't on it anyway. He wasn't even on Air Force One.
Yeah.
Which he was complaining, I got to ride the old beater. The
legacy one.
Right, yeah, I got this.
It's not an old beater. I mean, let's be clear.
But
these things are outfitted like crazy. So this story, it definitely does have stuff like that are James Bond-esque and Mission Impossible-esque. But some of the things that I'm seeing in the Washington Post story, which they're the ones who broke this story. There are other news organizations now talking about it as well. But when the Legacy Air Force One plane carrying White House staff and journalists, it initially appeared without a call sign when it was on radar, and then it took the Air Force call sign AF1 mid-flight and then arrived in Britain about 10:30 at night. So you mentioned if we have a question for the president. Well, a media pool report said the flight was uneventful and there were no visitors to the press cabin. Yes, that would be correct.
Yeah.
So there was no flight tracker data for the C-32A, but that is the one where that's the former Qatari jet. So it landed about 10:30. Legacy Air Force One landed several minutes later, but there's not information really about the military jet, right? And there's not video that shows the president entering or exiting C-32A, which is the Qatari jet, or entering the Legacy Air Force One as they're starting to. So they're just trying to say, look, there's just some deception.
So he's
stuff
at an
going on.
airport in Turkey. Yep. You would think the authorities there would have said, hey, somebody's walking out the back door of the Air Force One. You know what I mean?
I think there are some people on a need-to-know basis, and it's like, I will tell you this, but if you tell anybody, I'll have to kill you. I mean, I don't know that they actually threaten
Who do you trust in a situation like that? We are learning that Iran actually had some talks about shooting down Air Force One, and Turkey and Iran are not exactly millennia apart. I mean, they could have got some missiles into that area. So I think it was smart for the Defense Department to do, and for the Secret Service, whoever engineered that. And I think learning about it now is kind of cool.
I want to tell you how the Washington Post story ends.
Uh-oh.
So reporters had been instructed to lower the window shades on the plane in Turkey, and they asked the president why they had to lower the window shades. The president said, quote, because you're probably on a dangerous flight because of the sleaze bags we have to deal with. He has a threat all the time against his life, and that he is number one on Iran's list. And then he says this, but if I go, you go, right? Perhaps someday you want to change professions. And then he got off the plane and left them as sitting ducks, potentially.
That is too weird to be true. I don't know. I think the more we learn about it, the more interesting it is. And it was, I mean, Hegseth went with him because he's obviously important too.
Do you remember 9/11? We didn't know for a while where President Bush was, right? And I think that's on purpose, right? We don't. And as I'm not on a need to know list, right, of classified information, there are times where we don't know, and I think that that's appropriate.
Right. No, and that makes a perfect sense. And I personally thought about this as being he's a moving target, and he is a target there. He's not when he's in the United States of America, but Iran certainly must have thought, hey, let's shoot down that jet. We can kill two birds with one stone and kill the President of the United States and make a big splash.
I just want you to know I am 100% certain that Air Force One at all times, even if it's a decoy, has military escorts that have strong defensive capabilities. There's no way that you're going to fly in an area of the world where you're under threat.
No, I understand. I'm sure that there was a lot of protection around all the jets, but it seems like all three of them were there.
Yeah, they were all there, and again, it's part of the art of deception. So there you go.
Okay, well, coming up on Inside Sources, new research shows how dogs can distinguish between emotions in our own faces.
Human faces.
Yeah, more on that in our final segment of Inside Sources. Stay with us.
Looking to transform your kitchen or bathroom? Discover the difference at AMC Building Materials. New arrivals are here. Explore the latest shaker-style cabinets, sleek European-style flat panel cabinets, and beautiful new quartz countertops in today's most popular colors. With a 25,000 square foot showroom and a warehouse in Salt Lake City, AMC keeps a wide selection of the most popular cabinets and countertops in stock. So many in-stock cabinet styles are available for same-day purchase and pickup, making it easy to start your project right away. Enjoy factory direct pricing, free design, free in-home measurements, and expert installation. Most remodeling projects are completed in as little as 10 days. Visit the AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West or schedule your free estimate today at amckitchensaltlakecity.com. AMC Building Materials. Come see the difference today.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Breaking news doesn't wait, and neither should you. Get immediate news alerts anytime news breaks by downloading the KSL News Radio app for free for breaking push alerts on your phone, or subscribe to our breaking news text line. Just text news to 57500 to get started. KSL News Radio, your home for breaking news.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. As Staker Parson Materials and Construction approaches its
75th anniversary, the company continues building the roads, infrastructure, and foundations that keep Utah moving and growing. Their work helps connect communities and support the state's future. CEO Scott Parson joins us with more.
Since my grandfather founded Staker Parson Materials and Construction in 1952, we've had the privilege of helping build projects that connect Utah and support its growth and prosperity. We strive to be the preferred source, and this commitment was recently recognized when we received the Utah Best of State Award for the 23rd consecutive year. The recently completed Mountain View Corridor project also earned a National Partnering Award, recognizing a culture of collaboration and teamwork, resulting in the project finishing months ahead of schedule. From homes to highways, schools to stadiums, hospitals to hotels, temples to terminals, and factories to fulfillment centers, Staker Parson has contributed to many of Utah's most significant projects. As we approach our 75th anniversary, we are grateful for our customers, the communities where we live and work, and the dedicated employees who have helped make our growth and success possible. We are optimistic about the future and look forward to continuing to help build Utah's future.
Staker Parson continues supporting Utah's communities, economy, and future growth. To learn more about their work across the state, visit stakerparson.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We'll rope it up.
Because we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
When American troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, thousands of evacuees fled to the U.S. for protection. Many Americans welcomed their new neighbors.
For the last week, the governor tells me his office has been getting calls nonstop with Utahns wanting to help.
When we saw the pictures and the videos coming out of Afghanistan, we prayed to be able to help them.
But then, what happened? Listen to Stranger Becomes Neighbor, wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So, this is a story that I really loved, Greg. New research says dogs can tell your emotions.
You know, I actually believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been a dog owner, a dog fan. Please don't get mad. But we have two now, and I've really grown to love these two animals, and I do think that they know when something's wrong. Now, they love Mom. They love my wife. They do anything for her, and they can tell when she's sad, and they can tell when she's happy, and you know, I actually believe that that's true. They can completely understand human emotion.
So it's an actual study, and researchers put dogs in MRI scanners, and the Washington Post says they were awake, they were unrestrained. They went in MRI scanners to see if their brains lit up in different regions while they looked at pictures of human facial expressions. And they found one thing that dog owners already knew. Dogs can tell the difference between joy and a blank stare and between happy and angry faces. Then they also showed that dogs could make the distinction between fear and anger. And I think sometimes you can smell fear, but fear and anger, fear and sadness. So those are somewhat nuanced emotions. And this is the co-author of the study that was just published. They said it's the first time, as far as they know, that there's proof that dogs can distinguish between faces expressing two similar but different emotions.
Yeah, interesting. This is a slightly off topic, but last night our dogs were just weird, just like completely weird. And the dog that neither one of them was crazy about me, but they were both like just as close as they could be. And I realized that we were having a thunderstorm outside.
Aww.
And I didn't appreciate it, how much that bothered them. But they were like...
Were they trying to protect you, or they wanted you to protect them?
No, they wanted me to protect them. They were like, Dad, help us out here.
Yeah. I just think that's really interesting, and it's super fun. And I mean, I've said this a bazillion times. I was a no to a dog person. I told my kids no for 25 years, and now we have two, and they are cute, and I just love them so much.
We're on the same page. Yep, both of us.
Okay, I do have some fun facts for today. So it is Hip Hop Day, and I didn't really know the origins of hip hop, so I wanted to share that with you. If I can pull that up really quickly, hold on. So Hip Hop Day originated, well, hip hop actually as a musical genre, it originated, it's not that many years ago, but it was 1973 at a house party in the Bronx. There was an 18-year-old DJ, Kool Herc. He began extending the musical breaks of the records he was playing and speaking over the beat, and that marked the unofficial birth of hip-hop music, and that's why we have Hip Hop Day today. So there you go.
Is it still a big music genre? I don't know.
I have no idea. Is it?
We have our youngster in the studio with us. Do you know if hip-hop's still a big deal, Britt?
Hip-hop's a very big deal.
Okay, there we go. We're oldsters. We don't know. We don't know.
Catching you off guard here.
Okay, so today is August 11th, and it was on this day in 1886 that Gottlieb Daimler received a patent for the world's first motorcycle. So I thought you might appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, because there's a Daimler Chrysler is one of the that's the new Chrysler. That's what it's called. I wonder what the first motorcycle was. It must have been a Daimler. Anyway.
It must have been.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was on this day in 1934 that the first federal prisoners landed on Alcatraz, so we know how that ended.
Right.
It was on this
Somebody
day
escaped.
in 1944 that Joanna Cole was born. So you may not know her, but parents of younger, well, I guess maybe millennials, she was the author of The Magic School Bus. So she made Ms. Frizzle really popular and made science fun for kids of all ages. I read to my kids Magic School Bus books, and then there was a little TV show and stuff. So she was born on this day in 1944.
There's a cool song by The Who called Magic Bus, too. It has nothing to do with the book, but it just made me think about it.
Probably not the Magic School Bus stuff. No. 1950, Steve Wozniak was born, so he was the co-founder of Apple in 1977.
There you go.
Yep. So 1965, this one is sad. The Watts Rebellion began. So there was 5 days of violence in the Watts neighborhood. 34 people dead, over 1,000 injured, nearly 4,000 arrested, $40 million worth of property damage.
I remember I was a young person at the time, and there was a lot going on in the country. And
yeah.
I mean, in 1965, I was 8 years old, but old enough to know that, you know, something's going on. And there were the race riots and things like that.
Yeah.
And it was just, I just remember that being troubling. To me personally, it was it bothered me, scared me.
Well, it was 1972 on this day that the last ground combat troops in South Vietnam left to return to the United States. That was a really interesting time and different, right? They did not return home to a hero's welcome for sure.
No, sadly. Now I think they're treated well now.
Yeah. 1984. So this one is
funny almost.
It is funny almost, right? So President Ronald Reagan was doing a sound check, and he joked by saying this: "My fellow Americans, I am pleased to tell you today that I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes." I don't think Russia found it very funny.
Yeah, President, can you see if your mic's working? Yeah. Oops,
can you imagine? Okay. 1999, Salt Lake City experienced an F2 tornado. So do you remember that day?
I remember. You know, it's weird. I'm remembering all these things today. You're doing, except the 1950 one, obviously. But when you got into the 60s, all of these events I remember very clearly. And I remember that tornado. It was like it literally hit down across the street. Yeah. It was wild. I was downtown Salt Lake, just a few blocks away.
Yeah. It was on this day in 2008 that Airbnb officially launched its vacation rental site. So I've used Airbnb multiple times, sometimes with good results, sometimes not.
Okay, I don't remember that one, but that's cool. So that's not that long ago, 18 years.
And then in 2014, this one's sad, but this is the day that Robin Williams died at age 63.
Much too young. One of the geniuses of comedy. Really loved that man.
Yeah. And then finally, my last fun fact is that it was on this day in 2020 that Joe Biden announced Kamala Harris as his running mate, and we got the first female vice president in U.S. history.
Oh, yeah, on this day in 2020, 6 years ago, and the successful campaign that the two of them ran.
Yep.
Hey, well, speaking of campaigns, there are 6, count them, primaries going on in the country today.
Isn't that crazy?
And we're like less than 3 months away.
Yeah.
And I've been watching, and you and I have been talking about the primaries. We had some in Utah, and then I think we've got some states that are actually, we're still a week away from the last primaries.
There's more next week.
But as I was looking at the primaries, and you're watching all the screens, and you're looking at some of the people that are running, there seems to be a theme this year that is scaring me a little bit with respect to both parties. And that is, let's start with the Democrats, my party. they are running a lot of candidates that are being deemed Democratic Socialists because let's face it, they're socialists, and people are calling them communists or calling them socialists, but they're scaring some people about what that means, and I don't want to get into what it means. All I'm saying is the Democrats have this incredible opportunity to take over both houses, and they are, in my opinion, taking some serious risks with that by putting some candidates on the ballot that are going to scare. So the Democrats will love them, I assume. The Republicans will not like them. The independents are going to have to decide, do we really want a not moderate Democrat, a Democrat who's pretty far left, these Democratic Socialists? I think that the Democrats are going to shoot themselves in the foot. Luckily, the Republicans are doing the same thing. And what they're doing is they're putting up MAGA candidates who Trump is getting upset at some of his friends who are in Congress who he hasn't liked, who haven't supported him 100%, and he's putting more further right candidates in place. And so the Republicans are putting in their people. The Republicans will love them. The Democrats will hate them. The independents are going to be scared of them as well. And so as much as the Democrats are blowing an opportunity, the Republicans are sort of letting them do that. What's going to be really interesting, you and I are going to have a blast on election night, no matter what happens. No matter what happens, because we're going to see where this country's going. Because we've just long thought, it's the midterm elections, the party in office doesn't do very well. But this year, it could be different. We don't know what it's going to be like, but the Democrats are putting up some problematic candidates, and the Republicans are doing them a huge favor and doing the same thing. Does that mean nobody gets out and vote, or does it mean we're going to have a Democratic Socialist, or does it mean that the Republicans are going to keep the Senate? We don't know. Probably not going to keep the House, but if they keep the Senate, that's huge for them. So it'll be interesting election night. I love this season. It's getting closer and closer, and those are my final
Thanks
thoughts
for your
the day.
closing arguments. Look, coming up next, the Utah Attorney General